Excellent. Nichole Murphy, it's lovely to finally put a face to the text and the voice. We've been talking quite a lot. I was introduced to your work through my friend Sarah, and I was really blown away because I really like the way you explain syncretism. You're very simple. You don't use big words. You use really great little, I call them little homemade ghetto graphics and hands-on
No.
tools and
Oh,
all.
man. No.
You'll see my terrible graphics later on, but I've got the computer version. Um, but yeah, so your channels are on Rumble, Law of the Luminaries, right? And on
Yeah.
Telegram, it's the Keystone, is it?
Yeah, you can find it at the Keystone or at the Breakdown 1718.
Right. Yeah. Can I ask? Yeah, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. We're going to dispel a lot of BS that's going on around there.
Cool.
And at the second half, we're going to cover the dun 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 24-hour sun. And
Oh, okay.
we think it's a good thing, and we'll get into that because
Yeah.
everyone's going nuts over this, and it's not really a big deal. It really confirms all the syncretism. But can I ask you, like, how long have you been studying syncretism, and how'd you get into it?
Syncretism specifically?
Or these topics, yeah, specifically.
Well, so I was actually a level earther in sixth grade. I challenged my science teacher on gravity in sixth grade, and my parents were a little like outside the box. And it was actually my mom that taught me the noon sun, and they didn't have all the answers per se, but definitely they thought differently, and that kind of got passed down. So it's been a forever process, in different phases. Like some I was really focused on, and other phases, I'm having kids, I'm unschooling my kids, I'm deciding what I want to teach them and not teach them. So it's been through all of life, and I've been part of the like medical freedom movement for 25 years. I worked with autistic kids back when Andy Wakefield came out and said what he said. I watch all that lot like in real time. So, but it all goes together in the end. And then I actually went to a Christian school and went to Catholic church on the weekend and then Christian school. So I got all of it. So that's where the syncretism really, I backburnered that in my 20s and then came back to it later on because, like, wait a second, it's not saying what we think it's saying. It started making more sense, but I had all that knowledge in my brain because you're required to memorize stuff and do all this. So it was all just sitting there. But I would say in watching in the last 5 years what was going on, especially in terms of level Earth, I just found a lot of the information out there very confusing. Like, I understand it, and I don't understand what you're saying. Like, it was confusing to me. So I was like, okay, I need to start going public, mostly for my kids' sake, who are adults now, but and the idea being, like, if you wanted to show my videos to homeschool kids, or that's why they're real simple like that. So like 12 and up is the idea, because adults, this is all new to them too. So it's not their fault. They're not dumb. It's just that we have to relearn. So doing it at the most simple place possible is just something that I learned through unschooling and running a one-room schoolhouse. And I've always just been I don't like the word teacher, but teacher, and doing the simplest, teaching 6-year-olds algebra. Like, how do you teach that in the simplest way possible? So it's ingrained in me.
Yeah, that's great. And I love how simple you do it. I was going to ask you because you know how it is with syncretism. You need to study so many different subjects until the penny drops. David Lynch, he said, if you read a book with a golf ball size consciousness, you take away a golf ball size understanding of that book. You come back 5 years later with an ocean size consciousness, same book, you get an ocean size understanding. And that's how I find it with syncretism. I'm a music teacher as well. And I was saying this to Dave Weiss, um, I got a new student. They don't even know the major music scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, di, do. They don't even know that. I can't possibly start to explain the modes, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian. Like I could simplify it as much as I want. They won't get it. But 2 years later, after playing music and learning more and more and more, the penny drops, and then the same explanation. It's like, duh. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I find that with syncretism. How do you find it? Even though you explain it so simply and brilliantly, I say, how do people receive it? Are they getting it, or is it still like, is like I'm saying, does it take too long to learn everything, to put it together, or?
The younger I find, because I do a lot of private lessons too, or private, just so I can reach people exactly where they are and then move on from that point. And I do all that for free. I mean, but the younger that they are, it's just duh. It's just like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, I get it. The older they are, the more ingrained in the old narratives, the harder it is to unwind. But I've taken people from globe to syncretism in an hour and a half because it's not, because it resonates when you see it. And it's like, oh, okay. It's not something that I have to force. It's just either you're ready, you're there, you're ready. Most people over on my Telegram channel and on Rumble, they're ready for that sort of stuff. They're not over there like arguing with me about things. They're posing questions, and yeah, I get a lot of positive feedback, and I don't give up. So if someone challenges me on something, I don't block them. I just say, okay, here's how it is, and I'll lay it out for you so you can understand it easier.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember, back in 2004 or five, I started reading Walter Russell's Secret of Light, Atomic Suicide. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I didn't get it at all. I had no business diving right into Walter Russell. I didn't get it. Now, after all the other studies, I get it. And what we're going to get into first, what I love, I've been trying to explain to people the zodiac and the difference between tropical, sidereal, and I'm a music teacher, and it never dawned on me to talk about it like frequencies and music notes, which is one of the first videos I saw of yours. And I was like, duh, of course. And that's one of the problems we get into. Maybe we can start with your wheel. There's a lot of people, they think there should be 13 months, right? And they're hiding one of the months, the Vatican and Ophiuchus, and what about the moon? And I've even seen Marty Leeds say, we don't know what the moon does. And I'm like, no, you don't
Yeah,
know what it does. I love Marty, by the way. This is not a slide on you. So I think there's a lot of myths to dispel. And my crowd too, they're into syncretism and raising the Christos and the cell salts. Like our channel has all that. So they're going to love you. And then maybe we can get into your system, because you've improved your own cell salt system, which is really, really great. But maybe, yeah, could you take us through one of the problems, like you explained? It's because they labeled all of the frequencies or the positions in the sky as the names of the constellations that everyone gets confused. They think it's actually the stars sitting there, and it's not.
right.
Yeah, so maybe we could start with that, and you could clear up that confusion, and then take us around your wheel and show us what the moon does. It's not a 28-day moon, is it?
No.
So I'll turn that over to you if you want to, yeah, maybe do your thing.
Yeah, let me just say one more thing is that, in my opinion, the person who put all the pieces of the puzzle together, if you take a Walter Russell or a Ken Wheeler and Stan Tenen and then apply it to a Taurus Earth, is Santo Spinaci. He is the one that bridged all that. And so a lot of energy went into hundreds and hundreds of hours into his content. So, but it is really, his content is like, you kind of need, your mind needs to be primed for it. So I've told Santos myself, we chat, that my content is kind of a bridge to his content. Okay, so my wheel is not my wheel. You know, my cell salt system is what I created, but it expanded upon George Carey's work. But this is the wheel that it's not Santos's wheel either, but he gave it to us in a way that finally like made sense. And then I took it and just made it like more simple for just like I said, 12 and up.
Yeah, maybe take us through the wheel. It's quite interesting too. I love your work on the Book of Enoch, which is funny because Enoch is Enoch. It's an old Gaelga Irish, very ancient Irish word for a wise man, a wise person, a priest. So the Egyptians, you know, I've been studying a lot of guys. I don't want to digress, but it looks like the Irish Druids brought this stuff to Egypt. It didn't come the other way. It came from there. So I don't think Enoch was a guy. It's a group of druids, basically, that the wise priests of Yesa Krios, which we'll get into in your wheel.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I do have a whole series on Enoch. That was probably one of my biggest accomplishments so far. There's a few of them, but that is one of them, is actually seeing that Enoch is explaining the sun and moon patterns exactly how we see them today. It has not changed. But one more thing I just want to add is a lot of my work comes from watching the luminaries and documenting. So, and then reading the holy books. I took the middlemen out. So other than Santos Bonacci, I took all the middlemen out and I went, holy books, luminaries, what are they doing? And that's how it all kind of came to be. Not kind of, that's how it is. And that's my message to everyone is like, that's all you need to do. You know, you can get rid of all the middlemen and just have that direct connection with how these luminaries are moving and how that is applied within a lot of the holy books or all the holy books. And I'm just providing, like, I'm taking away the veils of what they told you. So I'm showing you what actually is. And then once you see it, it clicks. But
Yeah, and I love to how you explain the gates of Enoch, because I've seen all kinds of crazy shit out there about that FPV angel, and you're the first person I've seen is like, oh yeah, duh. It makes a lot of sense. So maybe as you take us through the wheel, can you explain the gates too? If you
yeah,
like,
I do
don't
have
go
the
crazy
gates
on
on my
them.
wheel. And so can I flip my camera around
Yeah,
now?
flip it around. Go ahead, do what you got to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so tell us what we're looking at. I know, but
Yeah, so this is the sky wheel. Now I'm going to use the word tropical astrology, but don't get freaked out about that. That's just the system, the ancient system. There you go. So don't get freaked out about the word astrology. I call it the tropical system. So what that means is the movement of the sun and moon and wandering stars between the tropics. So we have Tropic of Cancer here, Tropic Capricorn here. And let me just point out that, so we took Santos's sky wheel, and I have a team of people that work with me now. And one of the people on my team was able to take all that information and apply this into this sky wheel and then add more information like the gates of Enoch system there. And then I have we'll get to the sun and moon stuff, but so the tropical system of the sun and moon moving between the tropics has nothing to do with the stars out here, the constellations that are rotating out here. So Leo, for example, is a position of the sun in the sky, has nothing to do with the constellation out here. And the reason the ancients did it this way is because the constellations out here shift through time. So that's why you'll have right now the constellation Pisces rises on March 21st, right here at the equinox. And then eventually Aquarius will rise here, and then you'll be in the age of Aquarius. Then eventually Capricorn will rise here, and you'll be in the age of Capricorn. So those are constellations out here. This movement between the tropics are attributes of the sun, if you will. So hold on, let me move this chair. It's squeaky.
Yeah, no problem.
So Leo is the summer, the cat in heat. So this is the attribute of the sun in this position. And what that means is, let's just take August 1st, for example. The sun is in this exact position in the sky every August 1st. It never changes.
Yes,
So that's
it's a height. It's you're talking about when you tilt your head up to the sky. In the summer, you have to crick your neck to look all the way up, right? At Cancer and Leo, you have to hurt your neck to look up because it's if you're in the northern hemisphere. By the way, tropical astrology is a northern science. It was invented in the north, I think, by the Irish Druids. So you're talking about just at noon when you look up in the sky, the sun's either way up high or in the winter it's down low. Is that pretty much what you mean by
exactly.
position? Yeah.
Exactly. So way up high, you on June 21st, that's the peak up there. And then it's going to look really high to you because it's very close to you. So anything close to you in the sky is really high up. You have to tilt your head up to see. Anything far away in the sky is lower on the horizon.
Like we see that when you take the picture of the noon analemma time lapse all year, that looks like a bowling pin. And then the little part of the bowling pin is the highest part. That's the summer. That's Cancer right there. And then the bottom of the bowling pin is, the winter, right?
Yeah, I believe this was taken in Egypt. And so if I'll point out, so this is kind of a different angle on it. So this is is it either rising or setting? I think this is a rising sun. So if you notice at December solstice, it's more inward. And then June solstice is more outward. So this sun at December, they're picking it up further along the circle because it's making a circle. So this sun they don't see it way out here. It's too far away in December. The sun is way out in the farthest circle, so it's too far away. So the person taking the photo doesn't pick it up until here.
Yeah, because they're in the north and it's
less
out,
light.
right, and it's out on the Tropic of Capricorn. If you take the flat Earth map, it's the wider ring outside, and then you got the equator and can you show the tropics real quick? I think that'll make sense for people.
Yeah, so the Tropic of Capricorn out here, remember, not a constellation. This is the place. That's why it's called the Tropic of Capricorn, because this is a place called Capricorn. This is the place called Cancer. And then right here at the equator, so that's the next thing I was going to show, is we have the place called Aries at the equinox here and the September equinox here. You see how they're in the exact same spot, like this.
Yep.
This is a place called Libra. So when you now look at the circle, Aries, Libra.
Yeah, equinox. Yeah, exactly.
Right? So I don't know if that's more of a confusing way. It's sometimes that's a little bit easier to understand than the analemma if you're learning it right off. But as that sun gets closer to you here in June, you get more light because you're seeing more of it. It's rising over here, so you have more daylight. So this wheel represents these positions. So this is, notice this is mid. It's in the midway portion of this wave.
Right.
Mid. So, and then this would be the peak portion of the wave. So when this sun gets to noon, it'll be here. Well, it is already there, but you'll see it best at noon.
Right.
And then reverse of that. So the wheel is a literal representation of the sun in the sky. So if you take noon, that's your foundation right there. I mean, just in the word.
Yeah.
We got sine waves and torus fields. And so this is the closest point to the sun to you within a circle. For everyone on earth is noon sun. That's the closest point of the sun to you. And that's, in my opinion, when we should be out in the sun at that closest point. And that's where we get the greatest benefit of the sun reacting with the minerals in our body, our cell salts. So the noon, so this will be noon. So this, if you're just looking at noon, the sun has these different positions. Spring will look over here, fall will look over here, and winter will look here. And I mean this literally, physically. You go out at noon at these different times of the year. This is June 21, this is September 23rd, this is December 21st, and this is March 21.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you just take it. Yeah, that's the sky. When you take a tree or a house or something that's fixed in that noon position for you, which when you're in the north, that's the south on your compass.
Yeah, you can just go outside with a compass if you're inside the Tropic of Cancer and point wherever south is, that's going to be noon. The sun's going to be right there. That's because, and it's highest in the sky because it's closest to you. Just like when you look down a street and there's, 50 lampposts that are all 40 feet high, way down the street, they look like they're 3 feet high and then they disappear, but they're not. It's just you're under the closest one. So it looks you have to look way up to the lamppost just because of distance.
Yeah, exactly. So if we just put that back on the sky wheel, here, Cancer, it's high. This is why the sky wheel represents it up here, high. This is Enoch's sixth gate. Here, when you look at noon, it's low. Here. So when you look at the sun right now, I have it marked here. The sun is in Aquarius. So instead of being right here at noon, it looks a little bit over here. And it's moving like this.
Yeah, you'll have to tilt your neck more and more and more because it's getting closer. Would you mind real quick, just hold up your flat earth map again real quick, please?
Yeah.
So just point, you're in California, right? So point to California. So the first ring around is the Tropic of Cancer. So in the summer, the sun is there. That's why you have to crick your neck because it's the lamppost closest to you. You're like, whoa, it's way up above me. And then in the winter, as you're saying, we all learned in third grade art class. Remember when you draw a long hallway in 3D? Up comes down and down comes up, right? So in the winter, for example, put your finger out at a Tropic of Capricorn. Yeah. So that's why the sun looks so low in the sky to you, right? Because it's way out there. It's
so
so far away.
Sun. Yeah, noon sun right here.
Yeah.
will look very high to me because it's close to me. Anything in the sky that's close to you, like an airplane. When an airplane's very close to you, you look up and you're like, oh, wow, it's really high. When an airplane's very far away from you, you look out and it looks low on the horizon. So here, when the sun is here, it looks lower on the horizon at that noon position.
Right. Yeah. Because it's winter and the sun's out at the Tropic of Capricorn. Yeah, exactly. That's very easy.
Yeah. And I have a whole, if we want to take it like a little bit further into syncretism, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'd love to go for it.
Okay, so I actually have my one hand watch on right now. So for the north, where I live in California, you can see that it's almost noon here. Wait, where's the camera?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so it's almost noon. So this would be the south on a compass.
Yep.
So this is
Because
south.
north is the North Pole because the Earth is a magnet. So
Yeah, so here it's you can see it says 12. So that's
yeah.
12. And then when the sun sets over here in the west, it's at 18. And here is at 0 in the north because this is 0 light,
Yeah, that's
midnight.
midnight. Yeah.
Okay. So then 6 a.m. over here is the rises in the east. Okay. So this is when we talk about syncretism. So we have Jesus, the scarab, the at the noon position, the scarab, the dung beetle that sits on top of the dung. They roll the dung and they sit on top of the dung.
Yeah.
Okay, then so this is at in a day, this is the peak position or that frequency that we call Cancer.
Right.
Okay, so then we have Jesus, the just one at Libra, the just one, Libra, the scales of justice,
Right. Because
because
the sun's gonna set, right? It's being judged.
and it's yeah, that's a good point. And also it's balancing out with the rising sun over here. And then we have the scapegoat, the death here, death of the sun in the day, 0 midnight, Capricorn, the scapegoat, Jesus killed. You get it?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, this is the rising point. The goat starts to climb. And then we have Jesus, the lamb of Aries over
Because of
here.
because it's Aries. Yeah, the spring and the head too as well. Yeah, and the year really
Okay.
starts there, March 21st. It doesn't start January 1st.
Yeah. So then in the Egyptian system, we have Ra, the radiant sun.
Yeah.
And then we have
Set.
Set, setting sun. Set kills his brother,
Osiris.
Osiris, 0, oh.
And then Isis, the moon, resurrects Osiris's phallus up to Horus. Let me guess, Horus on the left.
Yeah, horse
Right.
on the horizon, the sun
Yeah.
on the horizon. So again, the ancient teachings and the holy books are the foundation is tropical astrology. So that's the movement of the sun and the moon between the tropics. Okay, so that's why these positions have the names that they do. Nothing to do with constellation. Constellation came way after. That's called sidereal astrology. And I think it was actually done to confuse.
Because it is confusing because I like that you explain, on your other wheel, you say forget the names, just think of them as frequencies or angles or frequencies or vibrations, right?
Exactly. So let's go to angles. Okay, can I erase this?
Angels.
Yeah,
Angles.
angels or angles.
Definitely
So
the Catholic Church mixed that one up. They did that. They turned angles into angels.
so let's just take Cancer at the top. So now we're talking about a year. The watch, we were talking about a day, but it's the same system. So if we just take Cancer at the top, the angle, so it's at this high circle here, and here's Capricorn at this low circle. But it's moving around like this, right? Here's the sun moving around like this. But the way you experience that from the ground, sun rise to noon to set, looks like this. So this is an angle that you see from the ground. This is how the geometry of understanding things that move in the sky work. You can time lapse this yourself. Do not take my word for it. Go outside and time lapse video any sunrise to sunset, and you'll see this, because you're viewing something far away, close. Anything that's close to you is the highest, is high in the sky. You have to tilt your head up to far away. So far away, close, far away. And that's what anything in the sky, that's what it's movement, it's apparent movement to you on the ground. This is what this looks like. So
Right.
this is an angle. So if you did Capricorn, it's going to be a lower angle like this.
Right. There's your chevron.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw in one of your videos you had a time lapse, probably on a certain day. Someone was filming the Great Pyramid, and the sun went right up to one side and right down the other on the exact angle.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say next is, I think that, I'm sure there's many reasons, but one of the reasons is probably these angles with different sized pyramids. I actually was joking with someone one time because I was trying to figure something out, and I said, you know what? I just need to build a pyramid. And I was like, oh wait, someone already did that. I
You
was
know,
trying
it'd
to
be
figure out
crazy. Yeah.
sun angles. I'm like, the easiest thing to do would just be build a this and a that, and like, oh, wait a second. Okay.
Wouldn't it be weird if the other two main pyramids, what if one of them's the equinox and the other one is the Capricorn? I wonder.
Exactly. And these are questions that we don't have answers to because no one understands the system to go out and test all this. We know what it does. This is fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what they did to show the same fact is probably the truth of it. But if you don't understand this, how can you go travel there and understand what you're looking at?
Right. Yeah. In fact, I actually did this. I was in Spain, I told you over Christmas, recording with Alex Michael, conspiracy music guru. His balcony on his villa faces almost due south. So that would be new, at noon, the sun, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you just put your compass to south, and that's exactly at the top of that pyramid. At noon will be the top of that pyramid. So all you got to do is look left and see where it rose, and then draw the same angle the other way, and you can see exactly when it'll set. And if you know how long it was when it rose, you know exactly what time it'll be when it goes down.
Yes. Yes. Now there will be maybe a 15-minute difference depending on what time of year. Only because it's making different circle sizes.
Yes, yeah, we'll get into that.
Has
Yeah,
slightly different speeds, but at June 21st, this would be exactly noon. And at December 21st, this would be exactly noon. So over here is about 15 minutes when it's at noon at Aries. This is just stuff that I've tested myself. And then about 15 minutes because of those circle sizes. So this is the mid circle. I didn't draw that very well. It's a big circle. So it makes these 4 points like this. Okay, so this is your sign of the cross. And that's what all crosses are representing: Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Aries.
Yeah, the cardinal
If,
points. Yeah.
if you took the photos at noon for an analemma every day, and it does this,
Yeah.
it'll be straight up and down like this. If you take them after noon, it'll tilt right.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to draw that real quick just so people can see it?
Yeah. And the reason being is just has to do with that perspective. If you take it in the morning time, this is for the northern hemisphere. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, well, you Australia people, I understand what works for you too. It's so hard to get it all in.
Theirs is just upside down though. The fat part's on the top.
Yes, it just has to do with the fact that this part, well, let's draw theirs. Ugh, my brain. Okay.
You're not used to drawing eights the wrong way. We've drawn so many eights in our life. It's hard to draw them sideways.
Yeah, so this part is um okay, let me say this right. Let me make sure I don't mess this up. So this part for us is close to us. This is Cancer. This is the closest part, so it's up high. This part is Capricorn, is close to them, so it's up high. So you see the fat part, the fat circle, and the fat circle, Capricorn.
Yeah.
So that's their fat circle. It's
Because they live out on the Tropic of Capricorn. So when it's winter for us, when the sun's in Capricorn, for them, it's summer.
Yeah, right. So they're in this on the fat part of this circle right here, and it's
Yeah.
closest to them. So it's going to be at the highest point. They're gonna have to tilt this because it's closest to them, they're gonna have to tilt their head up to see it.
Yeah. They got to crick their neck because the sun's right over them because the Tropic of Capricorn goes right over Australia.
Right. Yeah, right there. Now, don't be confused though, like this doesn't change, this perception doesn't change the sun and moon's reality. They're moving on this vortex, you know, just how you see that vortex or that movement depends on where you're at. So just like an airplane in the sky, it's flying at 30,000 feet, whether it's way far away from you or really close to you, it's still flying at 30,000 feet. And it's going to look different. Your perception is going to look different. So that's why the system is this way. It doesn't matter where you live. This is the sun and moon's point of view.
Right.
So knowing that, then we can start applying the sky wheel to everything, the holy books, to life, to how we utilize it. So you
Right.
tell me where you'd like to go next, Steve.
Yeah, well, that's great. So here we are now. So we are in what's today? January 27th. So let's start with that. So people get confused about the sun and the move, like let's say through the month. So it's good. That's the sun, I'm guessing, that little red dot there, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, Steve, before we move on
yeah, sure. Yeah.
now that we have all those like angles and kind of laid out and what that all means, I also want to point out is this is also how a rainbow works. Okay. A rainbow is a circle. It's when the sun is behind you and water is in front of you. So if the person who takes the photo of the rainbow is in the north, let's say where I am in California, and they're taking a rainbow and the sun is down here in Capricorn, the rainbow is going to look very expanded out and it's going to have a real wide arc. You're just seeing half of that rainbow, but it's a full circle. So it doesn't have anything to do with a dome firmament. Firmament means the expanse. We can get into that later.
Yeah, we'll
So
correct that myth too.
yeah, it has to do with the person who took the photo and what sign the sun was in. So if you took a photo with the sun in Cancer and you live in the north and it's close to you, it's going to have a smaller arc.
Right. Yeah. And I sent you that video. There's some skydivers who came from the sky. They can see the whole circle from above.
Oh, there's plenty of videos showing that it is a circle because the sun is a disk. This gets in the Taurus fields, but we don't have to go there yet. But just to understand that it's catching the edge of this disk right here. This is what it's showing you. So a Taurus field, on its side is a circle. So this disc-like edge, because this part is a hole.
Yeah.
So it's showing the colors of this edge right here. So it's a circle.
Right.
It's easy to prove it's a circle. It's a circle. It's a circle. It just depends on when you take the photo and what sign the sun was in, because because the sun is in different circle sizes, right?
Right.
So,
Right. So the rainbows will be more arced and lower, or more, not so wide and probably higher, even maybe. I wonder if they change heights too, as well. Do they?
it just depends on time of day.
All right.
So anytime you're out there on the internet and you see rainbow videos or, sun videos, you have to get a date, time, and location. You can't just take a rainbow. Oh, here's a rainbow with this arc, and here's a rainbow with this arc, and here's a rainbow with therefore the firmament is there. No, you need the date, the time, and location because that'll tell you what sign the sun was in, and
Right.
then it makes sense of like, oh, that has a wide arc because the sun was in Capricorn and I live in the north and it's at the wide part. No.
Right. Got it. That makes sense. Yeah. So do you want to take us through the wheel? So also, if we can get into real quick, like you don't have to go the 144 about the 1 degree angle, and then the 20, is it
13.2.
13.22? Yeah. Um, just as you go along. But so every month, the sun goes through one sign or frequency, let's call them, right? Instead of calling them an Aquarius or whatever, call them a frequency or a zone or I don't know what to call it. Because people get, or if we call it Aquarius right now, just so people are watching, we're not talking about the constellation in the stars Aquarius. It's got nothing to do with this. That's just a position we're talking about in the sky.
It's an attribute of the sun. So in Aquarius, when you live in the north, you have winter. Oh, it's rainy, it's snowy.
Right. The Waterbury. Yeah, exactly.
It's telling you the position that the sun is in, therefore you're going to have this kind of weather.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the stars that have the picture of the man with the water behind drawn in it. That's what I'm saying, right?
Exactly.
Forget the stars. We're just talking about a position and a frequency and a time.
Yeah, so therefore this has a specific frequency, so a wave, and your position to it will be different depending on where you live. So your position to that part of the wave. So for example, if I'm in the north and the sun is in Capricorn, I'm at the outskirts of that wave, at the ends where Australia is right next close to that. Well, a wave is a vibration caused by a vibration that happens at the dielectric core. So you're closer to the vibration if you're in Australia and the sun is in Capricorn, for example. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because the sun is circling the Tropic of Capricorn in the winter. So that would be the closest vibration to them and our farthest.
Right, right, exactly. So then that obviously is going to have an effect on their soil. They're going to have certain foods that grow, and then it's pretty safe to assume that's going to have an effect on the water within you with the minerals. So that frequency has a specific effect on you depending on where you are. And I always tell people is like try to eat local because that's the sun's frequency on its trajectory.
Right. In your area, it's built for you in your area.
It's specific to you. So right now, oranges are really big right now in California. This is when oranges harvest. So this is when you would eat oranges. And it changes throughout the year. And what you're taking in is this frequency, this vibration.
Right. Yeah. That's all there is vibration, frequency, light is sound, it's vibration. That's all there is.
Yeah. And what the whole system is, I think the goal, I should say, the goal is to match we create a harmony with the sun within you. So you want to match that harmony. So you become what, flat or sharp, too flat or sharp. You don't have a good harmony with the sun and moon. If, for example, let's just say you're eating oranges in the summertime, like it's that specific.
Right. Because you are frequency and you are what you eat, and that is giving you a frequency. Yeah, same with the light in the air. Yeah, it makes total sense.
So then that's why the cell salts work in a similar fashion.
I wonder if that's why people get sick sometimes when they go on vacation somewhere far. It's because we know it's not the bugs, the the germs. So
Oh, that's a really good thought. Yeah.
maybe it's that. Maybe it's just the frequency change. Their body's like, I don't belong here. How was I there yesterday, 3 hours ago, and now I'm here? Maybe it's something to do with that.
Yeah, that's actually, well, that's a good point of that. When you understand the system, then you can start figuring out a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't claim to have all the answers to everything. I'm saying we got to learn the system first. The foundation is the tropical astrology and Taurus fields. Those are the two foundation, the two legends of the map. Like a map has a little legend that tells you, you know, this means that.
Yeah, like the
Draw them
key.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, the key.
it's the
Thank you.
decode. It's the decoder key you used to get in the Cracker Jacks box.
Yes, it's the decoder key. So you have the Taurus field that's decoder key, and then tropical astrology that's the decoder key. And then you can start looking at all the possibilities that you could figure out why all the phenomenons that we see happen.
Right. Yeah, and it's not just the sun because, like you're going to show, the moon is doing its own thing on its own different degree too. It's on its own little Christmas tree or spiral as well. and
Yeah.
and then those two are having angles with each other, interacting with you as well. Like we know the emergency rooms and police stations are full on the full moon. People go crazy. They're lunatics.
Yeah, so the sun is going 1 degree every day up this vortex. Well, up this way and then down that way.
Yeah, in the skies. Are you now? Is this wheel? Is this at noon, or you don't really give a crap, or is this
This is representing
just the day?
a year,
Yeah,
but it also represents a day. So
right,
this would be noon. It works both. So this
right.
so this is 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. 8 to 10, 10 to 12. And then it goes perfectly
Yeah,
around.
as a day clock. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. And then the sun's down in the underworld at night, obviously, after it gets from Libra, and then it's going, or sunset, and then it's going down to Osiris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's 180 degrees across in the north
Yeah.
for us. So it's across, let's just look at that real quick. So if I'm here in California and this is my noon, midnight is over here. Well, we're here in Aquarius. So here's my noon out here. Here's my midnight.
Yeah, and it's dark for you because it's so far away from you around the back, so you can't.
Yeah.
So it's dark. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't see it.
Unless you're in Antarctica, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So it's doing this 1 degree, the sun, and then
And by
and then
1 degree, you mean it's just going 1 degree higher in the sky every month?
yes,
Yes, just
1 degree equals one
a
day.
day. Sorry, a day. Yeah. So every day the sun will be 1 degree higher than it was yesterday, right? And or if it's coming down from summer to winter, it'll get 1 degree lower than yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you don't have to crick your neck. You can crick your neck 1 degree less or more each day.
Yes. Yes. Especially if you need to be looking at that noon position to see these angles. Like if you're looking at sunrise or sunset, it's far out on the horizon. It's too difficult to understand that unless you go back to that other photo where you see it rising earlier and earlier or later and later.
Yeah, left and right. That was kind of my question. Does it seems like this sun part makes more sense on a just say at noon.
It does.
It's just where the
Yeah.
sun is in the sky at noon, right? It'll be real low if it's in Aquarius, and it'll be real high into the right if it's in Cancer.
Yes.
Right.
High,
Gotcha.
no, high in a, wait, what did you say?
Sorry. If it's noon and the sun's in Aquarius, like it is right now. So the sun will be at noon, it'll be low in the sky, right? And would it be more left? Like if you were in the northern hemisphere
Yes.
looking south at noon, the sun would be more left, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but by barely like 15 minutes.
Not
Like,
yeah. And if it was October on the other side on the way down to Scorpio, it would be a little couple degrees to the right. Or I got you.
yeah. Yeah.
What you? All right.
Exactly. And that is not, don't take my word for it. That's something everyone can go out and just see for themselves. Just once you understand noon, and this is why they say don't go out between 11 and 2 or you'll get cancer, sun cancer, right? This is,
Yeah.
you understood noon, then everything else gets figured out.
Yeah. Well, that's like I told Alex when I was watching because I just the compass pointed dead south, and then I could see there was a very big white villa on a kind of a side of a mountain. I said, "That's noon, Alex." I said, "I can tell you without a watch when it's noon, when the sun's right over that villa." And sure as shit, it was. But you're saying every day too, it'll start moving. It'll get a little more left or right of that villa eventually.
Yeah, and then it comes back at down here.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. So it's
Yeah.
going up and it's going a little left or right, depending on if it's getting some winter to summer or summer to winter. So it's
Yeah,
going
just
up
like
or
those,
down and a little left or right. Either it's moving.
yeah, because of its speed, actually.
Right.
It's not actually getting all the way in 24 hours around. When you look at an analemma, that might be a more
Oh
confusing
yeah,
part.
obviously the analemma you can see the bowling pin is left and it's got a left and right side. Yeah, clear. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, the analemma is the map for this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, but within the year, it's completely balanced. It reaches its complete balance point.
Yeah.
And okay, so it's doing the sun. So this is sun doing that, and then the moon has an average of 13.22, and I explain how that number comes to be on other videos. But this is an average of degrees. So 1 and 3 is
Yeah,
4,
4.
and 2 and 2 is 4. Sorry, I heard some. So I
Are
was
you
like, what's going on?
are you sure you're homeschooling? There's your
Yeah,
140. There's your 144, right? I've got
yeah,
Christian friends who think 144,000 we're going to fly up into the sky and get
I
raptured.
know. I know. So this was something that I came to just in using and understanding the systems and applying the systems. Like I'm using nature. I'm not making stuff up. I do explain how this number comes to be. And so, it's not a proof. It's just, whoa, that's interesting. So what I mean by the moon's doing an average of 13.22 degrees a day, this is factual, provable, is as it goes through these signs, it's only here 2 to 3 days. So if this is 30 degrees, 13.22, is here, then 13.22. Now it is an average, so some days it's a little less, might be 11, some days a little more, might be 15. That's why we have 2 or 3 days it's in a sign.
Right. Yeah. It can be 2 or 3.
So notice I am not saying a constellation. It's moving from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Tropic of Cancer. So when you go on all those apps and you look up your moon sign, they may be wrong. They'll be close because right now the constellations are kind of close. Like Aries is like here. So in the tropical system, Aries is always at the equator. So when the sun is here at the equator, sorry, the moon is here at the equator, right here. This is always Aries. Now the stars, Aries is up here. The constellation Aries is up here. So when you look at the apps, sometimes they'll be a little on, and then other times they'll be off. Because the constellations are not too far off yet. But through time, the constellations are going to be like this, and you're going to have Aquarius up here. So then what are you going to do? Oh, the moon is in Aquarius?
Yeah. And it won't have the right attribute. And I've been telling that to people too at the procession. I'm saying, like, no matter what, on March 21st, it's never going to start snowing just because Capricorn or Sagittarius are there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not going to happen. It's going to have the spring energy no matter what.
Exactly. So for the moon, it works the same way. The moon has a noon. So to see those angles, it's easier to see the angles with the moon because you got 30 days you can keep attempting at it, where the sun you kind of have to do a whole year. But so the moon noon, roughly 6 hours after its rise time, is a little less. It's probably like 5:45, but roughly 6 hours after its rise time. So you look up the rise time for your area, count 6 hours, and that's where you'll see those same peaks. So the moon also rises like this to its noon to a point and then sets at an angle like this. So if this, for example, if this was a rise time, let's say the moon rose at 6 a.m., then you count 6 hours later, and that's going to be its noon position.
Right.
So what you'll see there is when the moon is here, just like the sun, you have to tilt your head way up. And I have video showing I don't know if I have all the positions, but I have the main points. But I do have a whole series that goes through a complete month of the moon in these positions, it's on a vortex too. So it's moving up, 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 up. It's doing 15 circles up and 15 circles back down, average.
Right.
Well,
That's
it's
what the flat Earth map
really
gets. You know, the normal flat Earth model everyone uses. They just have the sun and moon orbiting around on one altitude. They don't have it going up and down as well.
yeah, especially the moon. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
well,
1 degree is not that noticeable, but like 13.22 degrees, that's like quite a lot of altitude over a month, right? Because it's 14 days or 14 and a half or whatever days up and then back down, right? From no moon to full moon and then down again. That's a lot.
yeah, and it's so obvious. I'm like, this debunks the whole NASA moon thing in 2 seconds flat because you can go outside and see these positions. You know, the whole idea of a globe and a 22-degree tilt or whatever. 22 degrees is like nothing,
Yeah.
you know, and then that's what no. Like it is so high. Like in California here, like I have video on my telescope of me getting it. I had my telescope pointed straight up in order to get a Cancer moon.
Right. You really got to go up. And like you're going to get to this, but right now, this for real, the sun is in Aquarius. You'll know the full moon, it'll be in Leo. It'll be dead across from it on the wheel, correct? That's
Correct.
the full moon will be wherever the sun is, exactly across from it. It'll be how you'll know it's the full moon.
Correct. So I put here like right now the moon is in Capricorn. Okay, that's not a constellation. That means it's low at that noon position. It's low in the sky. It's going to look low at moonrise and moonset too because it's further out. But you're trying to see that circle that it's making its height in the sky. So you want to see that at its moon noon position, and it will look low, you know, relative to Cancer. So right here, it is on its last crescent.
Why don't you do before you do that, how about let's do this? Can you just take the sun back to the beginning of Aquarius? Can you do that, or is this a pain in the ass? I know you got it set up. And just show us, because people say, oh, there's 13 moons and they took the calendar out. What really happens is every month while the sun goes through one frequency or sign, we'll call it, the moon goes through one of them twice. So it goes through 12 and the one again that it started at, right? So if the sun is there, what you would call the first crescent moon, wouldn't it be right at the beginning of Pisces, or would it be right?
Yeah. So
Let's say this. Yeah. Let's say
we
the
would have
sun's
to we would have to go back to Capricorn
okay.
or what's coming up. This is
Let's go to what's coming up. Let's show them what's going to happen.
Yeah. So it's in its right now, literally right now. It's in its last crescent here. So it's moving in towards the sun like this. This is
Right.
where it gets into its black phase. So these are two torus fields. So two frequencies, they come together. It won't be exact like this because that's when eclipses happen. But again, it's all about these angles. But they will pass each other. And when the moon, I call it the black phase or the transparent phase, transparent moon. And you won't see it right here. It's not that it doesn't exist, it still exists. It's just in this phase of no light. So, well, that gets kind of confusing with dielectric and magnetism.
Yeah, we can get into that later if we have time.
Yeah.
But it's like a phase cancellation. But like, let's say they were on a Christmas tree, let's call it. The sun's on the lowest bottom branch right there, and the moon is, let's say it's on the left where you hung the orange bulb, and the moon on its own Christmas tree is also right out there by the orange bulb on the lowest branch, right? They're actually right next to each other for reals in the sky on their little vortexes.
Yes. And so you can't see it here 2 to 3 days.
Right. That's what they lie to us about. They don't count the no moon as it's as if the moon doesn't exist.
This is not the new moon. Yeah.
Yeah, like they say there's a 28-day moon cycle, but that's because they're ignoring those days while it's right there.
Right. So they'll call this black, they'll put this up black on the calendar and they'll say, "Oh, this is the new moon." That is not the new moon, and it's not the way any of the religions do the moon to this day. Because like the Jews, for example, are following what's written in the Torah, first 5 books of the Bible, and this is how the Bible explains it, like this. It's the same system. So they're following the correct system when they do their holidays.
Yeah, their holidays are correct. And the Book of Enoch also describes this system exactly.
Yeah. So here's the black moon or transparent moon, I call it.
So the
And
moon's
then
still there. You just can't see it because the electromagnetism from both the toroidal fields are phasing each other out. You're not seeing the light, but it's still there.
yes, that's my theory. And so what happens is on sunset, sun will still be in Aquarius, but on sunset, um, on, oh gosh. Oh, I have my calendar. I can tell you the exact date.
Yeah, you want to show us your calendar? Actually, this is pretty cool. You make these, so you make your own lunar calendars each month, so you know where it is, right, from where you are.
Yeah, I have a team now, so I have them like trained. They're gonna laugh at me, but I've been training them to do it, so I don't have to do these anymore. But I just check their work. And oh yeah, so this was this was Aquarius. So today's the 27th. The moon is in Capricorn. So I haven't put out my next calendar yet. I will. So the moon is then going to move to Aquarius, you see here. And then on the first, it moves in. Are there 30 days in
And what,
30?
January? Is there 31 in January?
So 31st or the first, what happens on that night at sunset is then you'll see this first crescent moon. It's out for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe.
Right.
And this starts the new month. So this first crescent. That's my little crescent. First crest is the new month, which starts off in Pisces.
Right. Because the moon already the last month has already started crescent, then it went to half, then full, then you get half and crescent again, then the black moon or no moon, and then it laps the sun and moves into the next sign, right?
So from the first crescent, you
Yeah.
count 7 days, and
Right.
it'll be half. From half, you count 7 days. It's the end of the third sign, and
Right.
then full. So that
That's why
matches
you find the full
the
moon dead across from it on the wheel, right?
one that's still in Aquarius. Yeah, 7 more days, 3 signs. End of the third sign will be half. Now, now this is observable. You can go out and count these days and see this is exactly how it falls. There will be a slight discrepancy depending on what time the moon entered. So you might see it a little bit more, or a little bit less, depending on what time it entered. So very, very slight. But I'd say 8 times out of 10, it's like exactly like this.
And you'll
So
know now because we know the sun right now is in Aquarius. So we know when it's the full moon this time, you're going to have to look way up at 6 hours after moonrise, right? It's going to be way up in the sky up there. Not as
yeah,
high as Cancer and Gemini, but pretty damn high. So you're going
yeah,
to even know how high the full moon is. That's why sometimes you see the full moon's really huge and low, right? And sometimes they look kind of small. It's just how high and far they are.
yes. Yeah, so this first crescent turns into a second crescent and a third crescent, fourth crescent, fifth crescent, sixth crescent, seventh crescent. Okay, so that's seven. Seventh crescent is a half moon. 7, 7, and then where's my little black? Then it goes back over here. Now the sun has moved forward now. The next time, the first crescent will be in Aries. The sun has moved forward in Pisces. So it comes, remember, it started the first crescent in Pisces. The sun will move into Pisces, and then when it's in its black phase, it's back into Pisces. So this is 28 days here, see? From here. 7, 14, 21, 28, and then
Right.
3 days right here.
That's where everyone's getting confused. That's where they lie to us and say it's only a 28-day moon, but they're skipping this. And this is where everyone goes, oh, these should be called months or moons. And you're like, yeah, because the moon just went through Pisces twice. It started in Pisces, it went through all the other 12 or 11, and then it did
Right.
Pisces again.
Right. So let's back up a little bit. We had
Yeah.
the first crescent in Pisces that's coming up. Remember, the moon is right here. So it's going to enter the black phase in a few days. It's going to come out right there.
Because the
So
sun will be there as well, because the sun's been moving that way all month as well. The sun's
yeah,
been going one sign for the month. Yeah. So as the
yeah,
sun gets there, that's where it gets lapped by the black phase.
yeah. So as the moon comes around, then it's actually not the moon lapping the sun. It's the sun is actually moving faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so this is it's black phase, and so the first crescent then will be in Aries, and then the next month the first crescent will be in Taurus, and the next month the first crescent will be in Gemini. So every time it has a first crescent in one of these signs, it has to move through the same sign in its black phase. So there are 13 signs in a month, not not 13 signs in a lunar month, a lunar year, not 13 signs in a lunar year. And then this whole series that this moon moves through is an average of 354 days. It's 10 days less than the sun. So you can't divide 364 into and then come out with 13 because the moon only does 354. That would be 27.
Right. See, that's why people are like, there should be a 13th zodiac sign. You're like, these have nothing to do with the constellations. They're 12 positions and frequency bands in the sky. That's all they are. The moon just happens to go through 13 of them because it does one of them twice, and the sun goes through one. But there is no nobody's hiding right, like a zodiac constellation.
So, matter of fact, if you go outside, Ophiuchus is, there's Sagittarius and Scorpio. Ophiuchus is not there. It's way, way above. I did a video on this once. It's like way the heck above. It has one tiny little foot star in between the two, but if you wanted to look at it sidereally, there just isn't even enough room for 30 more or another sign for the moon to move through. They're literally right next to each other. So
now,
that
this is
would
why
be,
it's important. Yeah, because like we were talking about, for people who are raising the Christos oil, or you can tell us about your cell salts too. You're supposed to abstain from sex, ejaculation, drinking, blah, 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 when your moon is in your tropical sign. Not your sidereal. So you need to know this. If you say I'm a Virgo, right? Well, you're going to know that the full moon's going to, it'll be now. Actually, you'll know the full moon will be over in Virgo now, while the sun's in Pisces, where you have it set right there, right?
right.
It's not really in Pisces right now in real life, but the way the wheel's set up, next month, I'll know that, okay, I got to watch out when the full moon's at Virgo.
The full moon will be, when it's in Aries, full moon will be in Libra.
In Libra, right.
It's in Taurus, it'll be in Scorpio. So it just moves around.
Right.
Like this. So, but you're making a good point, is using the full moon as a marker to start out learning it is perfect.
It's just the easiest to see.
If you want to expand upon that, I really suggest learning the when the first crescent is. So I have my calendars that show when the first crescent is, but
Yeah, because you
it
have to
took
abstain
a
when the
lot of
moon's in
time.
your sign, no matter what the moon looks like, whether it's crescent, half, full, whack. When it's in your sign, you that's when you need to cut that shit out. So it doesn't matter if it's a full moon or what. Just when the moon is passing your sign every month, it'll be what 2 or 3 days. Does it take about 3 days to get across a sign then, or maybe more, 5 days?
No, it takes 2 to 3, sometimes two, sometimes three. On my calendar, let's see. On this calendar, I've never seen more than four. So Aquarius 3, Pisces 2, Aries. Now, this took a long time to figure out, and then I vetted a website that actually Santos had recommended a long time ago that was doing tropical system, but I didn't take his word for it. I spent a year vetting the site to make sure it actually matched the positions in the sky. And you'll notice what my team did here is on the sine wave. So this is just this circle opened up. They actually put the moon in its height position in the sky. So when it's up here in Cancer, that's how it'll look in the sky at moon noon. So
Right.
she's positioned in the sky.
Six
So,
hours after moonrise for the day. Right. Okay.
mhm.
Yeah.
So this really is a great learning tool. And then, she has some added information in here. We've gone through this a lot and we've gotten more and more detailed with it. Some of the beginning ones were a little less detailed and we got more detailed. We're adding time now. So the moon entered the first crescent at 7 a.m. this last cycle. This next cycle enters the first crescent at 8:35, I think it is. So we're getting exactly on the first degree that the moon enters after its black phase.
Right.
And we're actually working on a calendar too, like a 2-year like pinup calendar. Um, ugh, that's a whole project.
So much to do. Now, tell us about because I love Nichole. You've got your own cell salt system. So most of the Space Busters people, they're down with all the. They know that each salt corresponds with one sign and a part of the body and all that. So, like right now, your system is then for the whole month of January 20th to Feb 20th in Aquarius. You're going to take the Aquarius salt every day, right? That's how you're doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Nature
have
Myrrh.
multiple ones that I've done over the years. So I'm not currently using it. I'm not do whatever brand works for you, but so just as a visual. So this is number 6
Yeah, it should
here,
be your natrium myrrh, sodium chloride.
or wait, did I put that in the right?
Is that Aquarius?
Um, Aquarius is 9. Oh, I put it. Oh, 9. Yeah, I just pulled the wrong one. Okay, so 9 here. 9. So this side would be taking for 30 days. I do it, and I use this. Like I have this board, and I have all my cell salts laid out like this, and then I have my little sun and moon sticker, and I move them like a clock. And also for my daughter who's 20, so she can see, oh, the moon is here, and then so she'll take her sign. So this is just my system. So I take the sun, the sign the sun is in, and then the moon is obviously moving. So right now it's in Capricorn. So I took Capricorn today.
Right. So for the 2 to 3 days or whatever that it's in that, you'll take always the sun salt and then you'll take that month's moon salt, which makes sense because the sun and the moon are frequencies that are resonating with those salts in your body. So your system's pretty ingenious, actually. Why not
Yeah,
take the salts that
and
are resonating with the natural frequencies? Like you said, it's like eating the food seasonally. Why not take the
exactly,
salt frequency? Yeah.
exactly. And so it best, well, let's say worst case scenario, you're going to learn how the moon and sun move. And I say, like, so I've been doing this like a year. Like, what are the health benefits? You know, some people might ask me. I'll say the mental health benefits are superior, like, because you're going to be able to cut through all the bullshit out there because you're going to understand the system. You're going to understand how the sun and moon move. You're going to understand nature, how it's working. And so as you watch content, you'll start to learn, oh, that's not true and that's not true. And so your mind just becomes crystal clear. So obviously having a clear mind is, in my opinion, is going to have positive health outcomes. I mean, so I don't claim like, oh, this will make all your health issues go away. I'm sure there's multiple things that need to be done depending on how toxic your body is. But this is the way to learn. This is the truth of creation. If you want to know creation at its core, this is it.
Yeah, I liked how you also in one video, and then we'll move on to because you've got several videos on this in detail. I liked how you described it as for the month, the sun. If you took a music keyboard, since light is just sound, it's just vibration in the ether. You said like the sun is like playing one chord all month for the 30 days, and then the moon every 2 or 3 days is playing a new note like that, up the scale and down again. I liked how
Yeah,
you put
so
that. So you
I,
got
I
a chord and a melody going together, and that frequency is also going on inside you.
yeah, exactly. So all I did was I took my calendar that's correct to the positions of the moon in the tropical system. And so I took my calendar and put it to a scale. And I explained that all in the video. But yeah, so the sun is the bass clef, and then the moon is the treble clef playing this melody as it moves through the entire sky. Because Enoch says they're of the same light. And I can get into a whole bunch of what that means, but just on the surface, the sun and the moon are a harmonic frequency.
They are actually making sound. We just can't hear them. We don't have the ears to
Yes.
hear that, but they are. There's sound waves.
Well, Tesla says light is no more than a sound wave in the ether, and Ken Wheeler does a good job at explaining all that, what Tesla meant by that. But if I'm just to simplify it, is everything is a torus field. Every cell, you, the earth, the sun, and the moon, everything is a torus field. And the way that works is there's a vibration at the center, at the 0 point. There's a vibration. In our bodies, it's called a pulse. Our heart beats, we're electrical. And so that vibration creates a frequency. Okay, or if you want to call it a wave, but a wave doesn't exist on its own. It's because of a field perturbation, like a disturbance in the field.
Right. Yeah.
So that is a sound. That vibration creates a sound, which then creates illumination within the ether.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think, like Ken Wheeler said, there's not really a speed of light or sound. It's more of a state than a speed
Rate,
type of
yeah,
thing.
a rate of
So,
induction. They just have one
yeah.
rate.
Yeah.
Now,
A rate of induction. Yeah. Vibration.
yeah, and then what happens at the center of the torus, that rate of induction is essentially slowed down, just like if you were to put a flashlight through like a piece of glass. in the center of the glass, that rate is slowed down. So here on Earth, on the plane of inertia, inertia means energy at rest. So the rate of induction is at rest or slowed. Rest doesn't mean dead. It means when you sleep and your body functions like slow down. So here on Earth, everything is slowed. So my theory is, for example, the sun is gold. So gold is, and the moon is silver. That's the metal attributes they're given. So gold would have a certain frequency to it. Now on Earth, it's the same frequency as the sun, gold, but it's at its slowed rate within the expanse, which is inertia. So that's why it's able to hold a form, because it's moving so slow.
Yeah, I liked when you had a video where you took a hairband and stretched it out, and then you let go and you said, "See where it comes back to rest? That's where it likes to be." That's sort of its state of inertia.
Yeah.
You can stretch it and pull it and whatever, but it always wants to come back to, it likes to be like that.
Yeah, because the torus field always is turning into itself. That's why we get all this cool sacred geometry. Let's see if I pull up a photo, because it's just turning in on itself. And I think the easiest way to, so here's the dielectric core. There's no magnetism here. And this is all right turning. But it can seem left turning. It can seem left turning, but it's not. It's all right turning.
Yeah.
So this is magnetism coming out of the dielectric core, then going back into the dielectric core, and then back out again. So it's always turning in on itself. Magnetism out and back in on itself. Always. So that's why it makes this field shape. It has a end to it. It doesn't go on forever. Now, well, I'll just stop right there. I don't want to get too.
Yeah, we can. And I explained to you, if people who don't know what toroidal fields, we're going to look later. I made some graphics later when we get into the 24-hour sun. But just think of an apple. If you're holding an apple and pretend that's a toroidal field, where the stem comes out of the top, where you picked it off the tree, that would be the dielectric center hole that you just showed there, the black hole in the magnet in the orange rings. You could think of that as the stem, and then the apple comes down, around, and back up its butt, right? I mean,
Yeah,
the apple is
exactly.
a toroidal field. Actually, it's just
Yeah,
so slow.
that's why they use an apple. I'm trying to find my Stan Tenen photo.
Well, that's the funny thing. Like when Newton, that stupid story about how he discovered gravity by an apple fell on his head on under a tree. Like clearly, they're talking about this.
So one of the people on my team made this for me. So yeah, the apple. So energy flowing out, back in. This is immediate though. Like in its natural rate of induction, it's just like psh, fast. That's why you get that shape that I showed you before. It's immediate. We can't even comprehend how fast. But right here at the plane of inertia, this is where Earth resides. Plane of inertia, Eartha, energy at rest. This is the 0 point, and this 0 point expands out like this. So this would be the torus filled all around. So you have the Earth, which is the physical, where light is slowed at its slowed rate.
Which is that yellow dashed line in the apple in the middle.
Yeah.
That's
But
that's
if I
the
turn it
Earth.
yeah, if I turn it like that, if I take it, here's the dash line and turn it this way.
Yeah.
So this is the physical, and all around here is the metaphysical. This is the magnetism. Look, this is how a magnet works. Like the reason we know this is absolutely true is this is how a compass works. A compass works because the earth is a magnet. And then a magnet, the way a magnet works is not the way they told you in school. So when we talk about a key or a legend of the map, you have to understand how torus field works, and then you can apply it to the earth and all the phenomenon that happen on earth. So Ken Wheeler and Stan Tenen, they came to the same conclusions using completely different methods. Stan Tenen used the Torah improved with scientific method, that the first 10 words of the Bible in Hebrew, the shapes make a torus field. And then Ken Wheeler proved the same thing using ferrofluid and glass to show the torial fields of a magnet. So two guys came up with the same conclusions using two completely different methods, and this is our earth. This is how it works. So I said in one of my videos, I'm like, when you take a globe, a spinning globe, hollow earth, concave earth, flat earth, it's all explaining a torus field. Right turning is the torus field is right turning. It's globe-like. This is all energy. It's not physical. The physical is the flat or the level. Then
That's what I was saying to Dave Weiss. I was saying that's one of the problems the flat earth community is having is they're still stuck in this Newtonian physical BS Jesuit science. So like you said, you showed me that video. Ken Wheeler was on Globebusters. He said, I've always said we live on a plane. And then for an hour, they tried to get him to say he's a flat earther. And he's like, the earth is 99.99999% metaphysical. It's the giant torus. The earth's just a little slice in the middle. That's like saying your grandma's a toenail because she has one. That's you know what I mean? The earth is 99.99. So no, the earth is not flat. The plane of inertia where we live on, which is the real firmament, not up high the dome, right? We're standing on the firmament.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So the firmament means the expanse. So that would be from this dielectric core, the expanse of light, the white light expands, which includes the skies. All right.
So I'll share my screen. How do I do that? I've got a Nichole Murphy folder here. So you get to see here's my dodgy graphics. Here we go.
Oh, nice. Better than mine.
See that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Or am I? Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see that graphic there.
Mm-hmm.
Why is my videos not on? Here we go. Okay. Yeah, so that's sort of what you're talking about. We've got the big torus field around the outside. And then you kind of explain it. I like how you explain the hourglass. So I threw one in there in the middle. And I like how you explain it, right? You say as the sands are coming down, they slow down when they get to this choke point. And that really is where the earth is, the plane of inertia. That's not a flat earth, by the way. I could only find a flat version of the globe. So I had to just draw an ice wall around. But yeah, so that's where we live. The rest of it's metaphysical. But as you were just saying, people, even in the flat earth community who understand this torus model, they're drawing all the luminaries, the apparent luminaries, way up here in the top of the red. And that's not true, right? They're down here. What we call the apparent sun, moon, that's still all down here in the middle. That's what they get wrong.
Expanse, yeah. They're set within the firmament, which is the expanse there in the center. And the reason the earth looks, if you look out and it seems domed, is because the energy is curving around up at the top of your, or even on the sides. The energy is curving around and then back into the center. So that's why it seems like there's a dome out there. But the crystalline structure, for example, like if you just look at Ken's magnet under a ferrocell, you can see, even in your example there, those little points, all make these diamond shape, these intersecting points.
Yeah, the lattices where each of the webs intersect, or the lines. Yeah,
that's your sacred geometry. That's where every shape exists within a torus field.
Yeah, and that's what people are calling the crystalline structure, or the dome. People are calling that the dome, but it's just the torus field. Because it goes under us too. That's the thing, is like the Bible, a lot of the Christian, I don't want to rip on Christians actually, but a lot of the flat earth problem is we have Christian literalists taking shit. It's not talking about waters above and waters below. It's talking about energy flow, not water like drinking water.
Yeah, exactly. I pointed that out in my video. Like it's the flow of energy, like a waterfall, and that's just how a magnet works. Like I'm not making this up. It's how probably the best person in the world who understands magnetism is Ken Wheeler. If someone wants to have a debate about the earth and the phenomenon on the earth, you first have to understand how a magnet works. And the best person in the world is Ken Wheeler. And then also Santos has, explains it in his own ways. And I just see myself as a bridge to their work, trying to make it a little bit more simpler, but it's not something I'm making up. You just have to apply it. So we could debate it, within understanding a torus field. Like, oh no, it could be here, it could be there, blah blah blah. But if you don't understand all those words or a torus field, like you're not in the debate. Like we can't move forward. We're still stuck in physicality.
Yeah, and that's you and I talked a little bit about this on Telegram. So here's the problem. NASA says space is a vacuum. And then flat earth people right away go, shit, space is a vacuum. We live in a pressurized gas system. Therefore, the firmament must be a dome. There has to be a dome. And you're like, before you even need to put a dome in your model, you just first have to make sure there is space and it's a vacuum. Prove it. You just stuck a dome in your model just because you have to account for some alleged vacuum in space.
Right.
So they screwed that, right? And then they're like, and the sun is a big ball of burning hydrogen, helium, whatever the hell. And so they're like, okay, we'll just throw then a big burning ball magically levitating around us in a circle. And it's like, you got to first prove it's a ball of fire and hydrogen. You got to keep putting wood on your campfire all night, let alone your campfire doesn't fly up into the air and start rotating around in a circle. You're like, maybe you've got to stop putting stuff in your model just because the other side said that's what it is. And that's what I've always said. This is going to get us into the 24-hour sun and Jaron. And by the way, I'm very good friends with Jaron. He's always been super cool to me. He's had me on Glowbusters a lot in his own show and even his private chat. I'm not throwing him under the bus. What I'm saying is he's not really understanding this model correctly. And a lot of flat earthers they're not getting how this all works and how it could work and how it does work. The firmament, we're standing on it. Terra firma, we're on the ground. It's the expanse. We don't need a dome. There is a dome all around us. It's called the toroidal field, right?
Right. And it's the Occam's razor. If you want to talk about Occam's razor, the simplest explanation must be the true explanation. So how does a compass work? Oh, because the Earth is a magnet. So if the Earth is a magnet, then you have to understand how a magnet works. And that's where we get into the torus field. That is Occam's razor, the simplest, the beginning, the foundation. So I said tropical astrology and torus fields. That is the foundation of everything. The all is a tomb. the one. It's one field.
Yeah, Atum is the Egyptian creator god of everything, and yeah, it means one also. Yeah, it's all one. That's what's funny is Neil, what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
He said the Earth is an oblate spheroid, an oblate spheroid, or whatever you call it. It is. It like I said, we kind of stopped calling the ground the Earth. That's one. It's not even 1/100% of what the Earth is. Most of the Earth is metaphysical. The Earth
Yeah.
is an oblate spheroid. You can see it. I'm showing you right here. It's a torus. It's a donut.
Yeah, it's
So
not the
he's kind of telling you half. Yeah, he's like telling you half truth.
exactly. They tell you kind of in plain sight. So it's not that there's physicality of the spheroid. The physicality is the level plane that's the physical at the plane of inertia, energy
Right.
at rest in the magnet, and then the energy around, yeah, makes that shape. That's all it does. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any other shape. You cannot take a magnet and see its field and see any other shape. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, I wanted to show. I showed you this. Now I don't know if this is real or not, but I got this back in like the mid 2000s before CGI and all that crap and AI, AI and all that, not CGI. Allegedly, this is the dielectric center at the North Pole, and it was supposed to be like a Russian military plane flying over. So that would be like where the borealis is and all the projection come out of. But so this would be like the dielectric core, the top of the where the apple core is, or not really up there, but the middle of the apple, like where the seeds are. But I thought people might want to see this. And that's pretty crazy if that really is it.
Well, my theory has been that the reason you can't go over the north is that the life exists between the tropics. When you get
Yeah.
outside of the tropics, that's where the energy wants to suck the your energy back into the field. In other words, death. So if you go out from Antarctica and walk all the way out, you're eventually going to die because there is no the sun, the life bringer is between the tropics. So
Yeah.
you would have to have another sun or Taurus field way out there in another realm in order to continue on. And I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but it may be that we are only contained within this Taurus field until after death.
Yeah. Where would you put oh yeah, this is what I want to. We're going to get into this because the Freemason sign, with the two cones. I'll just show that graphic one more time. Hold on. This is the Freemason sign. It's also those two cones sticking up and down, the yellow and the red one.
Yeah.
You were explaining, how the luminaries we see, the apparent sun and the moon, right down in the yellow here, are the opposite really of what's happening up in the red part, right? And
Yeah.
that's actually apparent too. It's not real, but that's the source of the wave or the vibration. Yeah, can you? I'll stop sharing. Maybe can you draw that out and explain that to people? I was using this model that that's why I made this so they can understand because a lot of like if we look at the one I'm sharing right now, a lot of people would draw the sun and the stars and the moon and shit up here, like I said, in the top of the red thing. But where do you think like the stars are? Do you think they are up in the red thing or the ones we're looking at? I mean, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
So, yeah. Okay.
Are
So
they in the expanse as well? Are the stars down here in the expanse or are they
okay.
at the
So
top?
this gets into like just plain fun theory, but it's all working within a magnet, how the magnetic field works, right? So just want to say that first. So on my channel, I mostly focus on what's happening right here, which is within the expanse. The sun and moon and how they move on this vortex right here. Okay, so this is the foundation of understanding first. So what you're talking about is kind of next level, and we can go there.
I think we need to, because
Let's
to
leave this.
understand the 24-hour sun, Nichole, we have to go next level. Otherwise, it's not
Okay.
going to make sense. We have to do it.
Right.
And there's a
So
lot of people waiting for this video that we're making right now because they're confused and they won't understand, and they know we have the gravy. So I would really like to give the gravy if you have time and want to. I'd love to.
okay, and then so this is Earth and the expanse, what they call the firmament. So Earth like down here, sun, moon, and wandering stars. And this is what we see. But the rest of the field is up here. The rest of the torus field of the Earth is up here. So
So like we're just in the pinch of, let's say that was an hourglass. We're like in the neck of the hourglass almost, right? And then the top part is like the top of the hourglass.
yeah,
Yeah,
so this is the
there
Stan
you go.
Tennant's model. So here's the Earth plane and the expanse. And then this is where he did the first sentence in Genesis.
Yeah,
Right
that's
here.
the shape he made. That's the shape if you wrapped it around a toroid from
Yeah.
inside out. Yeah. What's
So
funny is that's the sign for Superman. They know something. That's on
oh,
Superman's chest.
yeah. I did a post about Superman one time, but I didn't catch that. Yeah, good catch. Yeah. Okay, so within the Earth plane is the what we see, the apparent sun, moon, wandering stars. Okay, but we have this whole rest of this field, right? So what the heck's happening? So I did talk to Santos about this too, and he concurred. So the theory is that when this frequency of the sun, so it's basically this, the Earth is a torus field and the sun is a separate torus field. So it's like your body is a torus field, but then each cell is a torus field. Your eye is a torus field. So the Earth's torus field is filled with other torus fields, and they're called stars.
Yeah.
Now, the sun presents magnetism, and in my opinion, stars present dielectric light. So it's an inverse of the center of the field. But so up in the hourglass, the chalice, the Holy Grail, up here is where we have this frequencies moving, which we call sun and moon. Let's just focus on those. Let's just focus
And
on
again, say what Tesla said, because it's
light
not
is no more than a sound wave in the ether.
right. So those are sound waves, and those are sound vibrations in the ether. They're not balls of fire and rocks flying around up there magically.
Right. So at the big part of this force field up here, we experience that as Capricorn down here on Earth at the big wide part here. So this, you could say, is the what do we want to call it? Source of that sound wave.
Yeah, it's the source vibration in the ether,
Right. And this is the apparent.
which is the illumination. Is this why, do you think, there have been a lot of videos recently of people catching two suns right behind, not far away, right behind each other, like a sun behind the sun?
I don't know because
Do
I
you
don't
think
trust
the
any of
source
that
sun is
stuff.
luminescent as well? You know,
Well, okay, so I haven't publicly said this yet, but
yeah.
my theory is that at the Arctic, when the sun is in Cancer, they're experiencing the source sun down here. And that's why they get that 24-hour sun here.
Yeah,
Where
because
in
it's the opposite.
California,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So down on Earth, when up in the top of the hourglass, when the source vibration, we'll call it the sun frequency, is down low, like getting toward the neck of the hourglass, we see it as way high up in the sky and it's tight and inside the Tropic of Cancer, of course, because it's a smaller ring.
yeah. So so maybe that's easier to look at here would be Cancer. When it's high in the sky for us, this source frequency is low within the Earth torus field. It's down in the small ring there. So that's why it makes a small ring on Earth.
Right.
So then my theory is on the Arctic 24-hour sun, they're seeing the source where me in California, I'm only getting 14 hours. So I'm seeing an apparent sun at 14 hours and they're seeing 24-hour the source sun. And
Yeah,
that's
because
probably
you're
why it
further
feels
out.
different.
Yeah, you're out. You're actually more out near the ring of Cancer than inside.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I could draw that kind of differently, but I don't know.
I've got a lot of graphics for this because I've done some work on how this I think this works, so we could talk about it too. I'd love your opinion. Now, what's going on with the 24-hour sun? What you're saying? So when it's called Capricorn, when the sun's out on the Tropic of Capricorn, or what we call winter in the north, the sun's really low in the sky, just like you have your finger. It's because Earth is right under that. So people got to
Mhm.
remember the plane we stand on, the flat Earth, is also the sun and the moon. They're down in that part. They're not way high up the hourglass. But the real source sun, ironically, is at the top of the hourglass because it's a wave,
It,
it's a
it's
frequency.
it's at the extremity. So
Yeah.
before the energy goes like this, it's at that very tip of the extremity, and you're seeing the extremity of a wave. So if here was where the beat started, you're seeing the extremity. Oh, you guys can't see that. You're seeing the extremity way out here, like, and the tropics are happening in here.
Yeah.
So this, so the source. Maybe we should draw that the other way.
Because now don't draw it backwards. You draw
Yeah.
it the
So
same way.
the source here. This is where the vibration is happening, and then down here, you're seeing the end of the wave. So
Yes.
in the middle here between the tropics, so this is between the tropics, you just are experiencing the apparent sun.
Yeah.
And then out here at the extremity, because the sun is up here at the extremity, and Antarctica is experiencing the extremity out here. So remember, it's a big old circle,
Yes.
right? So the energy is flowing
Yes.
all the way around. It's finding that edge of that circle, and the sound wave is just going all around. So, I mean, I have another theory. This is just one of my theories of how that works
Yeah.
with the torus field, and I am open to other theories within a torus field. But when you start getting into crazy land, like this is Occam's razor right here.
Yeah. I'll show you mine too, but you show me yours, I'll show you mine. But what I like in it too is let's say you're at a rock concert, right? Just in a club. The guitar player's amp is on stage. Let's call that your source sun up there.
Okay.
That's the guitar player's amp on stage, right? You go take a pee in the bathroom in the back of the club through 3 doors, 5 doors down. You can still hear the same guitar amp. You can hear the guitar music coming through in the bathroom. it's the same wave that came from the amp, but the guitarist didn't bring his amp into the bathroom with you. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yeah,
just catching the tail end of the frequency, the vibration. And
right,
and that's how I think of what your theory is. The source is the amp, and we're just down here, so we can't see the source. We're in the bathroom peeing, we can't see the band. So that's what we get. That the apparent.
right.
Does that make sense as an analogy?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Like, so if you think of any sound wave, you and I have talked about this. If you're too close to the sound, it's really intense. And then if you're too far away from source, the source sound, that wave, like you said, you're in the bathroom, is less intense. And it's
yes,
that middle part that's the sweet spot. So that's life between the tropics, right? That's the sweet spot of the sound wave. So when we're talking about these 24-hour suns and how they feel, are you still there?
yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
Okay. It feels intense because my theory is like that is the source. You're experiencing the source sun, not the apparent sun.
yeah, and you and I don't know if we want to go crazy town here, but you and I were talking about how there's all the life is in the tropics, and that when you go up on a mountaintop, when you're supposed to be closer to their alleged fireball nuclear furnace sun, it's colder up there, and there's no life, which is weird. So, like you and I were talking about, maybe the heat isn't actually the sun; it might be the biology reacting with the sun vibration that's causing the heat. That might be a little too crazy town for right now.
Well, Eric Dollard said the sun isn't hot because it's a hole.
Right.
It's the center of the torus. But going back to, oh crap, I had a thought.
Sorry, I'm sharing my screen. So go ahead.
Oh,
Keep
I wanted
yeah.
to
Yeah,
say
go ahead.
something.
I put it back to you.
Oh, so I think in my video I actually said it's the apparent sun to the apparent sun. I was having a hard time like, how do I explain this? Like make sense to
Well,
people.
the Freemasons have
But
the black sun in the center as the real sun, and then the source, what you're calling the source on that diagram, would be the next apparent sun, and then down. Yeah, I
well,
understand what you're saying.
the black sun would just be the dielectric core, is the
Right.
whole course.
The
But
whole, yeah.
what I was going to say is this energy flow. If this is source sun that they're seeing at Antarctica, the apparent sun is going to turn clockwise. And what they experienced was this counterclockwise, right? So
Right.
you have converging and diverging energy of the field doing exactly what the field does. But you're
Right.
witnessing it within the expanse, so it's going really slow. You don't get to experience the stuff out here.
It's
This is
moving too fast. It's all metaphysical.
right. So you get to have this amazing experience living within this expanse where the flow of the torus field is slow so you can see it. And so now that's exactly what it did was parent son moved that way, they experienced that way, and this is how a torus field energy flows.
Right. And this is also like earth means it's an anagram for ether. And the ether is it's they say the ether has its one foot in the astral and one foot in the physical. So the ether is the land of dielectricity, magnetism, and electricity. That's the ether. It's metaphysical. You can't touch it, taste it. It's there like the wind. You know what I mean? But it's like the wind is also another anagram. Air and ether are synonymous. That's so if people can't get this toroidal field science in their head and they can't figure out the sun is not a hot ball of gas, they aren't going to get what really happened, I think, in Antarctica. Which you want to show some more, or else I can pull mine up and then talk
Let
you
me
through
just
mine.
say this real
Yeah,
quick. Let me
go ahead.
draw it on this side instead. Uh-oh. Okay. Let me draw it on this side instead. So the source light on this side. Down here, they're experiencing 24-hour sun. So you have flow moving. There's the sun move this way, parent sun this way. This is just how the sun, this is just how energy flows within the torus.
Yeah.
If I draw it on this side, maybe it's a little bit clearer to understand. So this is moving this way. Let me see.
I totally get that. I also I get what's his name, Lindsay Harris, Tomb of Illumination or whatever. I have
Yeah.
another. I think, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think this is what's called parabolic refraction. That's what I think is happening.
Okay.
Um, Dave Weiss is calling it the coffee. Hi, Dave. I know he's watching this for sure. Dave Weiss. He calls it the coffee cup caustic or something like that. Let me share what I've got here, and then you can tell me if you think I'm not, or if I'm nuts or what. So before I get into that, I just want to show this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, this should be full screen now. So this is just a radio dish. Now the way it works is this thing out here. Can you see my mouse circling around? Or
Yeah.
okay, the way it works is the radio station or signal or tower is miles away, 50 miles, 100 miles, maybe 500 if it's AM. The beams come into this dish and it's set up. It's parabolic. It's set up in a way where no matter where the beams come in, they will all bounce back and meet at a center point somewhere. That's why this little microphone thing is facing the wrong way, right? The radio station's, 50 miles back here, but this isn't facing the radio station. It's facing the dish because all the signals bounce off and then they collect here in what I call a sweet spot, right?
Okay.
So in other words, you can't, if you put that microphone here near the dish, even though there's signals bouncing off it, you won't hear it. You won't get the TV station or the radio station. They all bounce back here. And I have a diagram. Wait till you see how I've been. Watch how dodgy I'm getting here. All right. So up in the right corner here, you can see there's a parabolic mirror and a spherical mirror. That means one's a circle and one is shaped like, guess what? A torus field, an oblique spheroid, or part of one, a side of one. Now you can see when the light sources come in, see anywhere they come in from the left to the right, all of them will bounce back to point F, but they will never bounce back before point F because the radio station transmitter isn't moving. You see what I'm saying? Wherever that tower is that's broadcasting the radio signal, it's not flying around in a circle, it's sitting still. So all your TV guy has to do, or your radio guy has to aim the dish to where it all starts picking up the signal at point F, because the dish is built with that thing right there where F is. See what I mean? So if he's got the angle of the dish wrong, those signals won't meet at the microphone. It won't pick up.
Yeah.
But so, and on a spherical mirror, there's a problem because you can see on the right here, because this other one on the left comes out more straight, like a toroidal field. When it's totally round, what happens is you get distortion because the higher they come in, they start bouncing at a weird angle. Can you see F has a real focused point, and then the one on the right is more like a weird, see, it's like distorted. See that? It's not focused.
Okay.
So on the left, over here, I have another parabolic mirror. Now the blue ones coming in are just radio waves. So you can see they come into the dish, no problem, and they bounce down. And this is this green looking Dr. Seuss thing. That's like where you'd put the coaxial cable. That's where the signals would all solidify. and you'd have an apparent radio station right there, right? Not in the dish. Now, up here, I've put what you call the source sun way up at the top, right? Like you're saying at the top of the toroidal field.
Okay.
And that's the sun disk circling high up in Sagittarius and Capricorn. Like you said, when it's Sag and Cap, even though down here on Earth it would be low, up there it would be the top of the, right? That's what you just drew. It would be way up at
Yeah.
the top. So look what happens. I extended on the left the parabolic mirror or radio dish, let's call it, up like the toroidal field.
Okay.
Now the source sun, which is still within the toroidal field, their waves start coming down and bouncing to a specific point. See that? The yellow ones
Yeah.
converging. Now down here in the white, that's supposed to be a side view of the ice wall. Okay. So Union Glacier, where they took these guys, is almost, it's not at the tip of the ice wall where, and then you see the ocean. Where I fucked up is I had to put in South America and you know what I mean? Like we're supposed to be looking side on for the white and the blue, the water, the ocean. But then I had to put South America in there because I couldn't rotate it. Right. But anyway, because of the way the I don't want to call it the dome, we'll call it the toroid, the torus boundary is shaped because it's it's parabolic. It's not spherical. It's a
Well,
paraboloid.
it's the way the energy flows.
Right. So this is just a 2D side model. You'd have to think of this happening in 3D all around.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is they take these guys to Union Glacier Station, which look where it is. It's right under where these waves come in. And because the source sun, like I said, the radio station is not circling around the broadcasting tower for the radio station or the TV station. It's still, but the source sun, like you're saying, it's flying around in a circle up around the giant Sagittarius Capricorn upper circle. So this thing would start moving around in a circle. That's where I wrote apparent sun circling. So they're standing down here, see where the green arrow is, seeing a reflection or a sound wave reflection. And I made another graphic of that cool app you did with the sound wave. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just like the radio station isn't really there. It's 50 miles away, but your parabolic dish picks it up here. And so what I'm saying is Union Glacier Station in the parabolic acoustic refraction sweet spot, as I called it, is having an apparent 24-hour sun, but yet these islands right nearby off the tip of South America where they flew, they're not having a 24-hour sun, right?
Right.
Because the real apparent sun is in the north at midnight. So let's say this is midnight. So the real sun would be way the hell over here. I've got some more graphics for this, but see, they won't take them here. How much ice wall is left from Union Glacier Station all the way left to the back of the toroidal field? Are they having a 24-hour sun? Or is it like the radio dish where it's all here? And you'd have to think of this in 3D. So I've got another. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, that's really interesting. That's really nice. I mean, I think this is exactly my point is you apply the legend, the map, the key, apply the key, and you can really start trying to figure this stuff out. But that's
So
interesting.
because like you said, light, the sun's not a ball of fire. It's light, sound, and frequency. It's illuminated sound frequency. So those frequency waves
I
would
didn't
bounce
say
off
that. Tesla said that.
yeah, well, as you said, Tesla said. So then I took your video. This is great. See, I think this went over people's heads when you put out your 24-hour sun video. So now, and it might have went over my head too. Now we're, instead of looking side on like we just were, we're looking bird's eye down, right? We're at the top of the torus field. So here's, I did some editing on you. I hope you don't mind.
This is an app that shows how a sound wave would work. Remember, a wave is just a product of a vibration. So if you imagine this being the sun pushed out at the extremity of the torus field at the top, and then the people in Antarctica are at the extremity of the earth, and light is no more than a sound wave in the ether.
Now, keep in mind, this is a circle, not a parabolic, right? This isn't torus shape. So what's going to happen in your demonstration is not the exact shapes that would have happened if this were not a circle and it were a torus. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But you'll get the idea. So watch. You've nailed it here. I just think this went over everybody's head.
What Tesla says, if we hit play and that sound wave finds this edge, and then this is where it would be seen or heard. So that's how the wave would be able to be seen in the south midnight Antarctica sun, a 24-hour sun. It's an apparent sun to the apparent sun, which is really just a frequency on an S curve as it flows through the torus field. And then this is where it would be seen or heard. So that's how the wave would be able to be seen in the south midnight Antarctica sun, a 24-hour sun. It's an apparent sun to the apparent sun.
So I'll pause this real quick. So now because let's say it's midnight right now, right? They're standing on Union Glacier, and we know at midnight for them, the sun has to be across the North Pole, like you said, right? It's way over here on the right. That yellow ball is the apparent sun. But as you showed, those waves go around the whole toroidal field and bounce into this shape. So isn't this what you were describing? They're on Union Glacier looking what they think is south, meaning away from the North Pole.
Yeah.
And they're seeing the sun right here, just as I showed the signals bouncing off the parabolic mirror to the focus point. In other words, I'm saying these guys took them to a sweet spot. They didn't take them over here. There's no refract. See, you know where it says south?
Yeah, there wouldn't be a parent or source sun because it's outside the bounds of the top of the torus.
Yeah, because the parabolic refraction bounces off these walls and goes here. But do you see in your example how it started doing it again on the sides? And this, so what I wrote there, I think I might have had a few beers. I said, so, and this is for Jaron, and I love you, brother, if you're watching this. I'm not like criticizing you. Like, it takes a long time till syncretism drops. But I'm saying that is why you are seeing a midnight sun to your south, even though that sun is supposed to be north, as we just said. And you can confirm that there were people taking videos of they had noon. That's why you're freezing your ass off, Jaron, in Antarctica, and can't see your own breath due to 0.23% humidity, despite an alleged visual nuclear furnace orbiting you 24/7. Low in the sky and very close to you, and yet you aren't standing in puddles of melted ice water. And as we talked about, they said it doesn't even snow or rain there. How can you have the sun down low circling you 24/7 for 2 months and not have that? Why isn't it hot? Because that's
an excellent point. Yeah.
It's not hot because it's not the sun. It looks like the sun. You're seeing parabolic refraction off the toroidal field and circular sound refraction, as you just shown, in the sweet spot you have been taken to at the exact right time and place a year, because the sun would have to be in Sagittarius Capricorn on the outside of the ring to do this. See, that's why it doesn't happen all year round, because the sun comes inside and it doesn't bounce off the walls. The sweet spot moves. You see, wherever that sun is, the sweet spot, like the antenna, like the radio receiver, you'd have to make that shorter. So it's possible all of a sudden, if you bring this sun in from the Tropic of Capricorn and Sagittarius into Cancer, the sweet spot and there might be a 24-hour sun way out here near the edge of the ice wall. See what I'm saying? This will move because the angles will move of the rays. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So yeah. So I've just said that. So they don't understand that they're looking at a sound, light wave, frequency, vibration in the ether, and not a magical nuclear furnace 93 million miles away or 3,000 miles away on the flat Earth map, magically circling between the tropics with no explanation as to how your campfire got up there, magically orbits around the tropics on autopilot, and seems to have a magical, endless supply of fuel for a burning ball of gas, even though you have to replace your propane tank often. And they say, oh, the sun's nuclear fusion, even though fusion people say fusion power may run out of fuel before it ever gets started, but not the sun. Right?
Yeah, just to build upon that a little, is the movement that we witness, this cone shape of, which is kind of a miracle that we get to see it in this slowed state.
Let me let me stop sharing my screen so that you can there you go. Yep.
Okay, so we get to experience this cone shape here, and it's like you said, it's not magical, it's not randomly happening. It's because that source frequency is making this shape within the vortex of the torus field. Now, there's a lot of other, like, what do you want to call them? Like arguments or debating of how this all happens. And then what about the bottom of the torus field that, like, we could go on and about. But my whole entire point to even making the video is you have to start with the legend. You have to understand tropical. You have to understand torus fields and how a magnet works. Not the way they taught you in school, but honestly, the way Ken Wheeler teaches it. So,
yeah, and like you said, for the people watching, we're diving in theory here too, but here's the thing. They called that the final experiment. Right. And if there's a 24-hour sun, then that's it. It's Earth is a ball, despite like thousands of other proofs that it's flat. You know what I mean? It doesn't negate all those. And all I'm saying is, as I said to Dave Weiss, now Dave Weiss is saying, and it is dodgy, like Dave Weiss has put out a video saying they faked this through technology. Now, what I said to Dave Weiss was, I said, well, hang on. If the sun is why the sky is blue, and you and I have talked about this, maybe it isn't. But I said, if the sun's on the other side of the earth, flat or round, either way, how you can't project a fake sun into the black sky and light up the whole sky blue. And they did do a drone that had 360 footage. The moon doesn't make the whole sky white. So, and Dave said, oh, the sky's blue because of the coffee cup caustic. And what I'm saying to Dave is, how come you'll accept that the blue sky will wrap around the toroidal field or dome? He thinks it's a dome, but I'm saying toroidal field. Why don't you accept that the sun will do it, since all of them are light, is just vibration in the ether?
wow.
Why would the blue sky wrap around and not the sun? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and what I do think they might have done, because it's pretty dodgy, the stuff Dave's looking into, because they don't normally you don't usually see a blue sky there. It was really weird. They had like cloudy overcast, and then the 2 days they turned up, it was perfectly sunny. Dave's saying it's because they faked it. My theory is, no, they knew there's a 24-hour apparent sun there, as we've just shown, and they wanted to make damn sure they saw it. So they might have geoengineered or done some kind of weather mod to make frickin' sure that it wasn't cloudy and overcast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I find that when they say these things like artificial sun, China's making an artificial sun, or solar flares, these are metaphors. I've proved this over and over and over again. If you watch what happens when they say, oh, solar flares are coming to Earth, It's a soul flare because they drop something into the matrix. A fire in LA happens. If you notice, then they said solar flares are happening. It's always for years and years and years, something gets dropped into the matrix, which wakes people up. And it causes a soul flare. Oh, they wake up. And then they say, oh, a solar flare is happening at the same time. So they're metaphors to what's happening to us. So you have artificial suns, metaphors to artificial souls, people on earth. I don't think they're actually making these things. And if you pay really, really close attention, all they have is the I mean, it's too obvious with the timing and when they drop things in. If you look at the timing of when they start talking about artificial sun, they put it out there. China's making something. Look at what's happening all around because they're trying to tell you something. And they don't need to make artificial suns. They don't need to waste money making artificial suns. They just have to convince you of stuff, and then you go spread a bunch of stuff, a bunch of bullshit. That's what a psyop is that you think it's all real, and then you go spread it, and you do their dirty work for them.
Right.
So
Yeah, because I can't, I would love to share these slides, but I promise Rebecca, I'm actually talking about this at Anarchapulco, but all is mind. And Walter Russell said that light is the mind of God. So, like you and I were talking about, there's not just the Earth's toroidal field, all is a tomb, all is toroidal. Its mind precipitates into the three astral realms, into the ether, and that's what causes the vibration, is the mind of God, which we are all a spark of. And that's what causes the physical. So this is the other part. Like, we will never get out of the flat earth, ball earth debate until people start coming over to the metaphysical. It's exactly what you're saying. All is mind. If light is the mind of God, then if all is light, then all is mind.
yeah, and it's pretty clear the duality of the seen and unseen, like the physical. Are you still there?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm just
Okay.
sharing my
The,
screen again. Yeah.
the physical and the metaphysical, that if you just take it, Jesus, for example, it's the physical and then the metaphysical, this idea of miracles, right? So, which are telling you stories of the sun and the miracles that it does. But then he's also physical because you are physical, this seen body, this physicality that you have. But then the unseen, like we've seen with a magnet under a ferrocell, is the energy flow of magnetism all around you. So I did a video just walking around looking at plants and fruit and stuff, and they all have the physical manifestation of the torus field within them. They all have this torquing as they grow, and that is the physical, the seen. But the reason they torque is because of the unseen magnetism. Sorry, okay.
No worries.
They they're birthed from a torus field, so the energy, it's the energy field that's all around that only makes this one shape, this toroidal shape that is, flowing, converging, diverging like a drain. And then the shower head, as Ken explains it.
Yeah, it's
It's
like a
not
tornado. The winds are on the outside, but then they suck up the middle. It's the ether collapsing into a vortex.
right, but then in the physical, we can actually see that in the way things grow, like your calic on your head, your ear, a raspberry, leaves. They grow in a twisty shape, one and then the next. And can you see my hands right now or no?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. You're down in the corner, right? Yeah, they'll see you.
okay.
Do I can? Do you want me to blow you up bigger? I can do that.
Oh no, I don't. I'm not sure what I'm seeing.
That's a great
Um,
video too, by the way. I saw that. It was great.
Yeah, the point is to say that the physicality, the expanse is allowing you to see the unseen, the metaphysical. It's giving you an opportunity to see the flow of energy. Everything within the expanse, the physicality, whether it's you or a tree or the way the luminaries move, is allowing you to see the unseen movement that's moving way too fast for you to see.
Right. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I want to get into that too. If you're able to, in a bit, you did a video where you talked about like Adam, Abraham, Jesus. You know, you went down the Joseph.
Yeah.
You went, but what I have pulled up right now, these are all the stations on Antarctica, and I've got when their 24-hour sun starts. So Dave Weiss is saying that they faked the sun because there is no 24-hour sun. The problem is there's these other 20 stations that all have them as well. The only ones that don't, like Carlini, Esperanza, Mariambio, they're out on the coast, close to South America. They're the ones on the tip of that, that tip of that thing. I'll show you. The reason they don't have the 24-hour sun, what I'm saying is like I just showed you guys with this one again. I'll just pull this one up one more time. The bases that aren't getting the 24-hour sun are outside of this sweet spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the same reason why these islands and the southern tip of South America is not getting it either. They're not in that parabolic refractive sweet spot. And here's the real final experiment they'll never do. They need to drop a team off here on the left to where that's Union Glacier right off of South America. Then they need to go to the south tip of Africa and drop a team off here. And then they need to go to Australia and drop a team off here. Now they'll tell all three teams that they're on a ball, so they'll think they're here on the right. See that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then what you do is say, right, now if you're all on the same continent, now start timing the sun and see where you're seeing it. And when it don't match up, they're going to go, what the hell? And they're going to figure out it's because they're really out here. Now what I'm saying though is with the appearance sun, right? This is what that Lindsay guy was talking about. That sweet spot isn't just here on the left. It will circle this ice wall. In other words, no matter where the sun is in the daytime inside here, I think that there will just be apparent sun, apparent sun, apparent sun, apparent sun, because it will bounce off all the walls. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It won't just bounce off that wall and make one there. It'll make one here and here and here and here.
Yeah,
And
of course.
your video kind of showed it.
Goes around the circle.
Yeah, the one you did here, you can see the other ones started to form already. See that?
Yeah.
So I think that just goes all the way around. And then again, as I said, as this thing moves in and out between the tropics, well, this is up high. So, but yeah, then I think that these sweet spots will be in here and then maybe in here, but they never take you out there. And we don't know we don't really know. This is what that Lindsay guy is talking about in his model. See, he's now where he and you, he's saying there's like a North Pole and a South Pole on the inside and then another North and South outside. I don't understand that because a torus should just make one in the center. But see, he's really showing the same thing. He's showing that what's happening on the inside makes these swirls just like your sound app did. Can you see that? That's the same exact shape your sound app drew in that circle. So he's talking the same thing. He's saying no matter where you drop a team off, if you put them in the sweet spot, they're going to have a 24-hour apparent sun, no matter where they are on that ice wall.
I just want to say something about that app too. Before I made the video, I wrote something up on my Telegram channel. It was during the holidays. I didn't have a lot of time to make that video yet. But I did a write-up, and someone read the write-up and then dropped in my chat check out this app. So it was actually a video of the app. It wasn't the app itself, but from that video, I grabbed the app. I just want to say that this is like when you're working within the legend, the key, you can work together and piece things, but it all starts with understanding the key. So thank you to whoever did that. I don't even know now, but it was a helpful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I mean now might be actually, yeah, before you do the Abraham thing, I think it would be nice to show your theory about what the sun and the moon really are. Because Austin Thompson, he's really cool. He's been documenting the sunspots for a year now, going around the sunspots. They do look like they're orbiting a ball. Now you're saying that the sun, and I see this when I sun gaze. Let's call the sun an apple. Well, it's a toroidal field. And let's say we're this.
From looking from the top down though.
Yeah, like the stem. So you're looking down at an apple, and the stem where you picked it off is poking you in the eye, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying basically, if you turned an apple kind of upside down, you're looking into the center. So can you draw that? What are sunspots, in your opinion? Are we seeing in the mid? We're seeing inside the sun's toroidal field. And he's filming sunspots flying around in an orbit, it looks like they're orbiting, but they're not really orbiting the sun. They're inside then, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, when you apply the legend.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, but it's probably just destructive energy. So the black, right? So because it's all destructive, constructive energy, black and light, like black light, white light. Like
Like a waveform, there's the high peak and the low peak.
Yeah. Here.
Maybe you want to draw it, because I know when I sun gaze, usually with one eye, but with two, if I look long enough, I see that. I see the sun turns black, and then I see like sometimes blue and green, almost red, blue, green, like a dash. Yeah. Do you ever see that when you sun gaze?
yeah. Yeah, all the time because it's a hole. This is the portal for inertia.
That's the core of the apple. We'll say that's where the stem's sticking out.
Yeah, so this is magnetism. This is the portal of inertia, which makes a chalice shape, the Holy Grail. Chalice, Mount Meru, Mount Sinai.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think
black rock?
Do you think there's a real magnetic rock on Earth, or do you think no? That's like is there a big mountain made out of magnetic stuff or not? They say there's a Mount Meru in the middle of the Earth. That's like a 33-mile wide magnetic mountain. But you're saying it's actually the dielectric core that's causing the magnetism.
That would be my guess is, and why you can't fly over it, because the energy is flowing like out and around. If you can't live within the extremities.
Yeah, that's why there's no life in there or out on the outside. And again, like we were saying, that might be why it's so cold in there. If it's not the sun causing the heat, but the biology, the minerals interact, because what we know about the cell salts is they all have vibrations that resonate with the moon and the sun frequencies and the planets. They're in resonance, they vibrate together. And as you're saying, sound and light, illumination are vibrations in the ether. So we had that weird theory that maybe it's not the sun making everything hot, but the biology it's interacting with, giving off the heat.
Oh yeah, that's another rabbit hole of just the way a microwave works. It heats up water by vibrating it, the water molecules really fast.
Right. So it could be all the water, even in the oceans and in our and in our bodies as well.
So depending on your position to the sun, which is a wave, right? If you're really close to that source of the wave, the sound, then your water and the collective water of like all the people who live in whatever area, that's a whole theory. but back to the sunspots for a second is you could see this constructive, destructive flow of energy. The black is destructive and the light is constructive. So it's possible that you're seeing that, from the inside, moving within the vortex.
That's what I was asking you. Yeah, because people don't, there's not just the outside of the toroid, there's in there too. It's still
Oh
moving
yeah,
around in
well
there. Yeah.
yeah, that's where the vibration
Yeah,
happens. Like
exactly. Yeah.
it's like Ken says, ice and water. You can't have one without the other. They go together.
Right. Yeah. So that could be what it is because he because it looks like it's orbiting, he thinks that it's a big ball of fire all of a sudden again. And
Oh,
I'm saying
one other thing too, though, like imagine this, if this is the sun, right? And it's circling like this, and I'm in here within the Tropic Cancer. These guys out here are seeing the other side of the Taurus field.
like the butt of the apple down at the bottom.
Yeah.
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 The
So,
butthole.
and that works exactly perfect with the magnet and the moon. So here they would be together. Here at a full moon, they would be repelled and then back together.
Yeah, that would make sense why you get what you call the black moon or the no moon because they're right next to each other, canceling each
Or
other
the
out.
solar eclipse.
Yeah,
Oops.
because the moon would be its own toroidal. Everything's a toroidal field, so the moon would be also a magnet as well.
Yep. Yep. But my theory, I have talked to Santos about this because I put this video out and I think he just read the title at first and then he got back to me and he's like, because I said the sun being magnetism and dielectric, and then he got back to me, he's like, no, the sun is magnetism, moon is dielectric. I'm like, watch the video. So he watched it and he's like, oh yes, because each one is both.
That
It's
explains because then when the moon gets away from the sun, on its or like on its Christmas tree branch, when the moon moves to the next branch and a little away, you see the sliver facing the sun every time. And
yes,
the Jesuits tell us that's the sun lighting the moon, but it's not. It's the
right. So my theory is that so the moon
you want to
presents
draw it? I think it would be cooler. Can you draw it? Do you mind? Or
the moon.
is that too hard? Or what? I think it's better than the magnets.
So the sun presents magnetism out here, and this is the dielectric. So you're looking into it like that.
That's the core of the apple from the stem to the butt.
Yes. And when you sun gaze, you'll see this black hole. It's a hole.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a portal.
Portal for inertia. Inertia is energy that's at rest and then it comes out, back out and around. Things die. And that energy has to flow back out and then back into the portal. And then
Yeah, we
things are,
always see a side view of a torus field, but you're just showing us a top view, really.
yeah, this is the top view. So the sun presents magnetism all here, but it's dielectric at the center. So my theory with the moon is so this is light. Magnetism is presenting light, and the dielectric is presenting light with the moon. So it's a film negative. So all out here is its magnetism, which you're not seeing, and it's presenting dielectric as light. So
I
so
mean, if the stars are the same, are the stars the
yes,
same?
yes. So
So
Ken
space, the
Wheeler,
black space is the magnetism of the dielectric.
yes,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Okay, so Ken Wheeler showed that this is possible under certain conditions. Like normally, like when you do it, you see the center as black, like this. But he showed it. Wait, I think I have a photo here. Under certain conditions that so this is from another video he did. he has certain conditions set up. So this is a magnet, and that is the dielectric core of the magnet. Instead of under a ferrocell, he has different conditions out here, and it presented the dielectric core as white light. So what's that look like?
Wow,
Star.
that's weird because Crow 777. He's been filming the sunspots with a special kind. I can't remember if he's using infrared. He's using some kind of lens, and his sunspots are white. I think he's filming the same thing you're talking about, actually. Have you ever seen any of those videos?
Oh,
Check out
no.
Crow 777's videos on his. He's been filming the sunspots, but with a very special lens.
Okay, so
It's
let me
exactly
just
what you're saying.
but let me just clear this up. This is not a lens or anything. This is a magnet, and he has I think it's a part of a TV tube back here. And he's showing that instead of using a ferrocell to see that that magnetism like that other slide I showed you. So instead of seeing it like this, where the dielectric core is black, this is using a ferrocell. He used like part of a TV tube, and the magnet, here's the magnet, the dielectric core is white, so it's the inverse of light. So
Right.
this would be magnetism all around. So this is like this is physical. It's like not a lens, it's not, it's physical. So my theory with the moon is it's presenting dielectric light, and it's moving, right? So as it's moving, we're seeing that dielectric light just kind of flow through as it's has this magnetic relationship with the sun.
Yeah,
Because
you're still looking down the core of
it
the moon too.
repels.
Yeah, you're still looking at the core of the moon,
Yes,
down the stem, let's say the stem to the butt again, just like the sun. But yeah, I
right.
see what you're saying. So when the one
So all
side,
the
when the side of the moon lights up, it's not a ball, it's this side of the inside facing the sun as it gets further away from it and higher.
yeah, it's a disc too, because you know, I'm seeing one side of the disc here in Cancer, and everyone else is seeing the other side of the disc out here in Capricorn. When you live between the tropics, it depends on where it's at. But I was gonna say the patterning on the moon is like, think of it just like a patterning of any frequency, like with water, or I'm not saying the moon is water, but when frequencies create patterning, it's just that's its frequency, so that's the pattern it creates.
I mean, that makes sense because, like you showed, always whatever frequency or sign, we'll call it, the sun is in, the full moon is opposite, meaning the farthest as hell away it can get. So then the sun's not interfering, right? So that's why you see a full moon.
Okay.
Are you there? Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking about what you said.
No, you say the full moon's always farthest away on the wheel
Yes.
from wherever the sun is. So that why you're seeing the full light, because the sun is not running any interference.
Um,
Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Because the
Mm,
crescent of the moon, whatever part's lit, right, the half or the crescent, it is facing the sun, isn't it?
yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a like a receiver of frequency. So, sorry, I wish these were colors, but if this was the sun, yeah, here's the moon. You're just going to have this part lit up right there when they're like this.
Yeah.
That'll be the first crescent. So the sun moves past like this. So just imagine both of these are moving. But when they're like this is important to understand is the flow of the magnet, like the flow of the magnetism is going in and out and around like this. Right? That's all it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so this magnet is doing the same flow out this way and around like this. This flow of magnetism. That's what makes all those shapes, the sacred geometry shapes under the ferrocell. Okay, so it's the flow isn't going out that way. It's going back in on itself. So that's why the magnets can't come together. You can't, you probably can't see this, but I cannot push these magnets together.
Yeah,
They're
because the flows are
flowing
going
opposite like this.
right. Yeah, so they can't attract. Yeah, they're repelling. Yeah, from the force.
So if you take that and you come back around, the moon's waning, 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 waning. That's that disk. Now they come together. Like that's
Ah,
exactly the way the if you
right.
had two disk magnets, that's exactly how it works.
And then that's what you're calling the black moon or the no moon.
Right. So in a way, when the moon is over here, it it's almost like full magnetism. Like that's not like not a great way to say it, but flow,
Never go full magnetism.
its flow is the same as the sun. So now they're flowing the same.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, and then it starts to get opposite as it spins. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's something with this pooling of the magnet that's pulling this dielectric light. It's waning. And then over here it's waxing. This dielectric light is growing, right? And it's being repelled now by the sun. And now it's in its full glory. So yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Short version of my theory
I was going to
there.
ask you if you can remember, can you run through the thing with Adam and Abraham, Jesus? You had
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
you can remember it offhand. You did a video, but I know it's impossible to remember everything all the time.
Well, the bloodline.
Yeah,
So this is another thing that comes up is like, oh my God, there's so many narratives on this bloodline. And I did a whole thing of the word genius and it's coming back to generate or generation, or if you think of 0 point energy generating. And so generation, the whole bloodline of Christ. But you have Abraham. Abba means father, and then Ham means to bend the knee. So this is their bloodline here. So let me just write all this out.
yeah. This is fascinating.
And then you have King David. Now, I like to look up the etymology of words and the back history of words, and the word David actually goes back to the name Dos. And I use etymology and look up words, so you can do that too. So Dawson, that's where David comes from, is dawn, the sun, and then Jesus is the salvation,
Right?
salt, salt of the earth.
Salts of salvation. Yeah.
Yeah, salvation. So if you look at the bloodline in terms of applying the tropical system and the sun's positions and frequency, you have the father, Abraham, who bends the knee at sunset. And then you have King David, the sun that rises over the mountains. He wears the crown at the dawn of the sun. And then you have Jesus, the salvation, which would be the noon sun, because the noon sun not only tells you everything, but it is in my opinion, the best position of the sun in the sky because it's closest to you, your personal savior. is close to you in order to for electricity to conduct through the water that you are. The water
Yeah.
in your body is an antenna, and you have to have the minerals in order to for electricity to conduct through the water. So you have your minerals, your cell salts, and then the sun. So this is the activation process, and then and that would be your bloodline.
Which is crazy because that's in George Carey's system. That's what happens at birth. The sun synthesizes the salts through the air and the water in the body and creates your astrological sign and your resonance. That's in your blood, literally.
Well, yeah, Santos has said like you're because the sun is a portal for inertia. So the energy is going in and out through the Earth torus field and then in through the sun's torus field and out through the sun's torus field. So it's just allowing energy to flow through. So that's why when the sun is in a specific position in the sky, like all the Leos have similar attributes because that's the frequency your energy was born into.
Yeah, that was the energy at the time when you were born. Yeah, exactly. And that's why you keep resonating with that on certain times when those alignments come back.
Yeah.
It's it's even like numerology. It's like you've got your days, you know what I mean? They're like, this is your day. It's like it's just these frequencies, these angles.
Yeah, the angles, the angels, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand it's hard for people to think about Jesus being the son.
Oh yeah,
I
our followers are all done. They mostly know this. I don't have too many Christians like literalists following our channel. They'll get this. No.
yeah, but I'll just say though is like people that I have worked with um have said that understanding this has just expanded their closeness to creation and understanding all this. It's not a takeaway. The takeaway is is the psyop of Jesus as a man because they don't want you to understand the soul, the salvation, and how this whole system works, right? So the the man is the psyop, and that's hard for a lot of people. And I went to a Christian school, and did the whole Catholic thing as well, and so I get it, but it is so much bigger than just sticking to that physicality. That's one aspect, this physicality aspect. Matter of fact, all the archetypes, Krishna and Buddha, they're all attributes of the sun. So Jesus is the humble, healing sun. Okay, and you have, let's say, Zeus. Zeus is the powerful sun, Jesus. They're all giving attributes, Buddha, like the wandering sun, moving, and Krishna, the beautiful Krishna's like in blue, the beautiful sun. They're all just explaining attributes of the sun because this is one of its attributes. It's humble and healing. Another attribute is that it's deadly. Another attribute is that it is beautiful. See what I'm saying? So another attribute is that it's extremely powerful. Zeus. So they're explaining attributes because this is the bringer of life. This is the salvation. This is the sun that is rises.
It's the
The
light of the world.
what did I say?
Jesus is the
The
light of
second
the world.
coming. The second coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming again. It's coming again. It's coming again. It comes every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many metaphors, like, yeah, I mean, Nicole, this is fascinating. Like, I could just talk to you for 100 hours, but we're shooting on 3 hours. The last thing I wanted to say is, Jaron's last thing, getting back to the 24-hour sun thing. He said, how can you explain how all these satellites and apps and this have the exact precise sunrise and sunset times at every angle, at every position? And first of all, I laugh at that because like there's dusk and dawn. What is an exact sunrise and sunset? If you have a mountain in the way, is it when you see it? You know what I mean? Like you could easily figure that out, but yeah,
Yeah,
and
they're using the circles, and the stuff out there is pretty correct, but they're using the circles. Like if I'm in California and the sun is in Aquarius and the circle is this big, I'm going to start seeing the sun here. And then I'm going to see the sun set here. Like that's the
yeah,
circle that Aquarius is making. So a Cancer circle, I'm going to start seeing the sun way over here and set way over here. So this is, 14 hours where it's out. And this is, 6 hours where it's out. So the apps get it correct because they're using the circle of the sun for every place.
yeah,
It's
it's not that hard. Like it works on both systems. That's what I was saying too. Yeah, I don't see that as a proof. And what I really see as a proof is you did your great video on the 7 shapes that the sun makes,
Oh yeah.
which is all in our language. It's all in our religions. It's in our numbers. It's in our letters. It's in our holy books. There isn't anywhere it isn't. But the one shape that the sun doesn't make is a single arch. Like I was saying to you off camera, if the only time you're ever going to see an arch in the sky over your head is if you go to St. Louis and stand under the arch.
Right.
So that to me already, just those 7 motions of the sun disprove the ball because it would have to come
Yes,
over
I've
an
been
arch.
saying this. I've been saying this. Forget the earth. The sun movement shows you the shape of the earth.
I know, yeah, but people don't
Sun
get it.
is the keystone. That's why I had named my channel the Keystone. But yeah, it makes the A, like I showed you earlier, the circle goes around for each day. The
Yeah,
cone, vortex is up, back down. The sine wave, which
yeah.
is as it's moving through the tropics, doing this. Analemma, we all know. The cross, that's the 4 key positions at Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and Aries. And then the eye on the water. This is done deal right here. This one, I, first letter of the Bible, I. That's the done deal right
Well, we
there.
know
That
that too because a ball doesn't make a straight line down the water at sunset at you. A ball it lights the whole thing up.
right.
The
This is
only,
the disk. This is the as the sun moves away. That's everything. And I is the within, the eye, the pineal. Open your eye.
yeah,
So many.
and your eyes that you use to see the sun on the water, Jesus walking on the water.
Yes,
That's
yes,
Jesus, the
the
sun.
sun moving across the water. That's the metaphysical, the miracle, right?
Yeah,
Metaphysical, that sun walking across the water like that. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah, we
then
could go on all
M is the 13th letter, and then 1 and 3 is the dollar sign and the sine wave and the rod of Asclepius and the Kundalini. It's the syncretism is just unbelievable. And
Yeah, so the pole from Polaris to center of the earth, and this is the movement of the sun around the pole, like making a sine wave like this. So this is the 13, and then they have this snake that they have on their medical systems. They have the single snake, I think the UN or someone. The medical systems have the double snake like that.
so that's the eight. Yeah, that's
This
the
is the sun's movement
analemma. Yeah.
around the pole. So here's the pole, it's Polaris down to the center of Earth, sun's movement around the pole, and you have these various shapes because of that movement.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. Well, I think we should probably wrap this up. If you ever want to come back and do some like syncretism talk, that would be great. But is there anything you want to add about the 24-hour sun or any of that kind of stuff?
No, I would just encourage people to continue to learn the torus field and how a magnet actually works. Not what you learned in school. It's not what you learned in school. And then you'll understand torus field, and then we can all get on the same page to apply these phenomenon to the foundation, the Occam's razor, the simplest explanation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's what I've been saying to Dave Weiss. I'm saying like I agree with Jaron. Flat Earth isn't going anywhere because they do need to relook at the model because it's the Earth part's fine. It's the luminaries and it's not physical. It's metaphysical. So yeah, for 100, how long have they been fighting over the ball versus flat Earth? Like it's since the 1500s, since the Jesuits came out with it.
Yeah,
So
and I think you can skip it. I don't think you need it. I don't think you need to learn it. I think you can go straight towards field. I've done it with people.
yeah, that's what I've been saying to people is the Freemasons call us all profane. They know this. Every single one of them in the high up, they know this. They're taught this. That's why you don't see Freemasons in the flat Earth movement. They think we're all profane because we don't get it. They get this.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
want to talk to us because they're like, why scientists don't talk to lab rats and tell them why they're making them run the maze. They're
Yeah.
like, you don't want to talk to you people. You're profane. And that's so in a way, in a way, I agree with Jaron. I think it's a really great thing they saw the 24-hour sun, and it
Yeah.
didn't help with all these retards with vape gate and
Yeah.
all that crap. I understand he's got attacked so bad for telling the truth. I can see why he's just going to the ball. I think it's more sad for him.
Yeah. I'll tell him to call me.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I mean, and Jaron, if you're watching this too, I love you, brother, man. I'm not throwing you under the bus or anything. As I told you, I think you people need to start looking at this if you really want to know what's going on. And we're not saying everything we've said is correct today. We threw a lot of theory out there too, but that's what we're looking for the truth. And you'll never find it if 99.99999% of the world is metaphysical and you're just looking for physical.
Right.
Then you can't find the truth.
Right.
Awesome. Tell us your channels one more time.
Oh, the channels is the Keystone on Telegram, also at the breakdown 1718, if that's an easier way to find it. It's the same channel on Telegram. It's Law of the Luminaries, and on X it's Law of Luminaries, but I don't post on there too much. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording now and then hold on a second.